Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the Moopa Troopa 7 channel. Today it's going to be a little bit more modern in the modern Super-Qualifier with this deck that I have been practicing and playing as of late. So I just posted a video with a full deck tech on this, so I'll just go over it quickly. But I made a couple changes. I have one more Emperor of Bones. I moved a White Orchid Phantom to the sideboard. Back down to one Skyclave Apparition. And I mean, that's most of the changes. This deck, if you don't know, is trying to Solitude Ephemerate, as well as Felia plus Overlord, to impend this in, and then blink it, and turn it into a 5/5, which draws you a few cards. You also have Recruiter of the Guard with Aether Vial to get some mana and card advantage. You have Bowmasters as just a solid cheap threat. Emperor of Bones is surprisingly good in this deck, especially getting back Solitude and Overlord, but also just as graveyard hate and as kind of a big creature. It's been really impressive, so I'm up to 2 of these now, and yeah, I have the Aven Interrupter here, a couple more on the sideboard. Helped me win against Storm, 3 Wrath of the Skies, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Fairy Macabre, which I've loved in this deck. Haven't boarded in the Kataki yet, but I know how powerful this card can be. Stony Silence, Sanctifier, White Orchid Phantoms. And that's the list. So let's get into the matches and try and get a nice top 8 or maybe a win. We'll see. My goal, but you never know. On the play for match number 1 with a pretty weak hand, so I'm going to send this one back. Like 500 players in this tournament, so it's going to be a long one today. But I'm buckled up. I'm all set, all ready for that. And with this hand, what do I want to put back? Probably got to be Ephemerate over Fatal Push. Keep the castable spells. I guess I could also do Sculler, but I think it's a little better to put back the Ephemerate. Although it does partner up, kind of become the best card in my deck. Maybe it's the Fatal Push. Maybe I can put back Fatal Push and still have enough interaction here. I think it's got to be Ephemerate, though. Alright, so I will keep it and put back the Ephemerate. Opponents on a Mull to 6 and on Eldrazi, which is a bit scary. They also have a Devourer revealed. So not the best matchup here for me. We'll see exactly what style of build they're on, and I definitely do think I can win. Have won this matchup before. They exile Shifting Woodland and some other random stuff. Am kind of wishing I kept the Ephemerate over the Fatal Push in this matchup. But not a lot I can do about that now. We'll say yes to Aether Vial's ability. Find a Recruiter of the Guard, which ain't bad. Would be better if I had an Ephemerate, and unfortunately I don't have a play this turn. Put that Aether Vial into the graveyard. Don't really want that one. And pass the turn back. Opponent plays an Ugin's Labyrinth, pitching probably that Devourer. Is that Devourer, and let's see what they go for. Karn the Great Creator on turn 2. That's a pretty good one. It stops my Aether Vial from working. And let's see what they go and get with it. Yeah, turn 2 Karn is not something I've played against a lot. But it's really, really good into an Aether Vial. Had I known they had a turn 2 Karn in their opening hand, or that was their plan for the game, I would have put this back, but of course, something you can never know. And yeah, I'm having a pretty slow draw here too. It could be like Cityscape Leveler, maybe. It is Walking Ballista. And they can do that for just 2, I believe. Yeah. Can only Ballista for 2, which means they do have to just straight up trade it with the Tide Hollow Sculler. Let's see if they do that immediately. Not quite yet. I will tick up the Aether Vial here. Draw for turn. It's a Marsh Flats. Not incredible. Let's just go ahead and attack Karn to force this trade. They just block. Sure. So they do get the Null Drifter back. And do I want to wait on the Bowmasters until they play Null Drifter? Just so that I know they'll draw 2 cards? I feel like they kind of have to play it either way. So let's just go ahead and Bowmaster now. I don't think they really have an option to not play Null Drifter if they don't have anything else in hand. Kill Karn, play out this Marsh Flats, maybe go get a Felia or a Solitude, although Solitude doesn't do a ton here. I could also get Flicker Wisp. We'll see what ends up being the best grab with the Recruiter once I get a look at my deck. Opponent plays Talisman. Last card is Null Drifter. I could also just get another Bowmasters, but that means I don't really have an out to this Null Drifter in play. But I would make, what, a 5/5 Orc army, deal them 4 more damage, could attack with everything. They could block 1 of my things. I think it's going to be better to just get Felia or something like that. So we'll hit them for 2. Do they have enough mana? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they are going to be able to get back the Devourer and play it next turn, which is pretty bad for me. So go ahead and Aether Vial in this Recruiter. Say yes to the ability. I guess I could also get Emperor of Bones. Does that do anything for me here? Not a ton. I could get Aven Interrupter. That also doesn't do a ton. Could get White Orchid Phantom to blow up the Ugin's Labyrinth, but that doesn't do much either. I think it's just going to be best to get Felia here and try and get some pressure on. I guess Solitude might also be fine. But if I don't draw a land to kill the Null Drifter this turn, it's not great. Let's just get Felia. Go fetch a Plains. Play Felia out. Untap. Not going to put a counter on Aether Vial this turn. I want the option to have 3 drops. Find probably the worst card that I could here. And I think I just have to go all in. Bounce this Null Drifter out until end of turn. Hit them for 8, but without any extra clock, and with them being able to cast the Devourer this turn, there's probably not a lot I can do now. Unless they go for, like, Mycospawn instead of Devourer, then maybe I could get some stuff done. They're getting in with a Null Drifter. Annihilator 1 will get rid of a Plains. I'll take 4. That's fine. Maybe they are just on the try and blow up all my lands plan. There's a commercial district. Sure. And they do have enough to play Emrakul because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana and 4 cards in graveyard, which is the magic number of 13 for Emrakul the Promised End. Okay, so they're... Oh, maybe they meant to put this Devourer into hand. No, they're doing something without the Devourer. They're playing a Karn, which I don't think I'm as worried about. But let's see what they get. Maybe they get like Ensnaring Bridge, and that would be pretty rough for me to handle. That would stop their creatures from attacking too. They get Cityscape Leveler for next turn. But that's not incredible. I think I say no again. I find a Bowmasters, which is honestly solid too. I think what I want to do is... Oh, they're playing a Kozilek's Return. Okay, well, I had some plans here. My plans are going out the window against a Kozilek's Return. that's gonna do it here. Yeah, that's just killing too many of my things. All right, that's okay. They had to have that. I think I was in a kind of a good spot if they didn't have that, but I guess they're not going for anything else because they had that. But that's all right. I've got a ton of sideboard stuff to board in here. I have 4 White Orchid Phantoms post board. I have 3 Aven Interrupters, and I have 2 Thoughtseize. So let's bring all these in. Let's get rid of these bad Fatal Pushes, and get rid of... I think Emperor of Bones isn't great here. Let's get rid of one of those. I can go down a Bowmaster and go down 1 Solitude, maybe. And then... what else do I want to cut here? Could just be another Bowmaster. Could be another Solitude, although I think I like to have some amount of removal. Let's go down 1 more Solitude. Down to 2. No, that's wrong. Solitude is just one of the best cards in my deck. Let's go down another Bowmaster. I'm boarding in a lot of 2-drops. I guess I could go down an Ephemerate as well, but Ephemerate's pretty good. Pretty good with Aven Interrupter, Recruiter, Witch Enchanter, stuff like that. Alright, on the play for the second game of this set, with a really nice hand, against them at least. White Orchid Phantom into Recruiter or Aven Interrupter. Can go fetch more Interrupters, or anything else I may need. Hopefully this is fast enough too. But yeah, looking a lot better than last game in terms of my opening hand. And we still got pretty close last game, which this deck always surprises me. There's some games where I'm like, how am I still in this? But I am. I will keep another Aven Interrupter. Might be able to just curve out with those and win here. They can only do 1 spell a turn. Then I'm stopping that spell while also making a 2/2. Alright, so they go for the turn 1 Eldrazi Temple, and I'm going to get a nice little bit of value with this White Orchid Phantom. Go ahead and blow that up. They Kozilek's Commanding? No, they're dismembering me. That's fine, I think. I don't think I care too much about that. See what they do next turn. Maybe a Malevolent Rumble, something like that. An Ugin's Labyrinth into Utopia Sprawl. So they're ramping. They are indeed ramping. Let's see if they have a Talisman here. They do not. So let's just go ahead and play the Godless Shrine untapped, because I'm going to want to fetch my second Surveil land at some point with this Marsh Flats. And just pass the turn over to them. See what they play. They play nothing. So I think I just have to also play nothing, unfortunately. Now I can go ahead and just pass again. If they go for a Kozilek's Command, I will even interrupt it, because that card cannot be cast from exile, from plot. It doesn't allow you to pay X, so it is a way to just make this Aven Interrupter into a... I guess they can still just draw a card with it for 2 mana, but overall doesn't do a ton. And then next turn I can go Recruiter and get another White Orchid Phantom if I want. Or if I draw a White Orchid Phantom, I can Aven Interrupter plus that And an opponent is just passing here. Oop. Forgot to surveil. Definitely should have done that. Oh well, though. Played out the second Marsh Flats. Get in for 2. Yeah, I would have got rid of this Aether Vial. That's annoying. And I do think I still have to just go Recruiter plus play something and let them have 1 spell next turn, I suppose. Say yes. Go ahead and get another White Orchid Phantom, I think. And cast it. Try and blow up this Ugin's Labyrinth. See if they have another Kozilek's command. Would be pretty annoying, but I don't know how good just playing 1 more Aven Interrupter is going to be this turn. Maybe good enough. Right, they're floating the mana. So it would appear they have another K command. Which is going to be pretty good here. Kozilek's Return would also be pretty bad here for me. Yeah, I don't think this matchup's great. But doing what I can. There it is. Hopefully not all is dusting me next turn. Oh, they're choosing to exile my creature and make spawns? Okay. I think I'm okay with that. Maybe they think they can play this other one out. Okay, they play it to draw a card. That's fine. They fetch down to 13 life, so getting a little bit low, but not as low as I'd like them to be. They find a stomping ground, so maybe Kozilek's Return coming down here. We'll see. They shock it in. Play a Devourer. Killing my White Orchid Phantom. And then they just pass. Not the end of the world. I think I'm just going to run out the Scholar here. See what they've got. Two Karns and a Dismember. I'll take the Dismember. Just go ahead and interrupt a Karn next turn. Hopefully slow them down enough. Yeah, let's interrupt that. They play a Bazooka Bog. That's fine. We'll see if they get in. So they have 1 Karn in hand. Nothing else. I find another Recruiter of the Guard. So let's play that out. What do I want to go get here is the question, though. I could get Felia. If I had another land, I could get an Aven Interrupter. Felia does do a pretty nice job of letting me attack through their stuff. Could also get White Orchid Phantom and take them off red mana. Add another flyer to the board. But I think... I really don't know. Yeah, I think overall Felia is probably going to be the best here. It lets me get in a lot of damage. Let's take that. Attack with the Aven Interrupter. They take 2. And just go ahead and pass now. They could go ahead and get an Ensnaring Bridge, which is a bit scary. But I can slowly work my way through that with the Recruiter. Getting like Witch Enchanter or Skyclave. Looking like maybe just a Null Drifter here too. 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's a sowing mycospawn. They're trying to get, yeah, the colorless mana online. That's what it looks like, which is pretty bad for me because they're gonna get to do that into Karn and blow up one of my lands as well, which I'd prefer them not to do. Okay, so let's see what they search for first. An Eldrazi Temple. Let's just play Felia now. Let that happen. And they play Karn. Sure. See what they go and find here. They have 7 mana, so they can't Cityscape Leveler next turn without an untapped land. They might just get Bowmaster here. They get Ensnaring Bridge, sure. I find an Arid Mesa. What do I want to do here? What can I even do here? I don't really have a way to force through these large creatures. How much damage can I deal this turn? To them, I can deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 1 more with the Bowmaster. But next turn, they might just not need anything, and that way they would just block Felia or Hide Hollow Sculler they could block as well, but I don't think that's very good because they're not going to be able to cast the Dismember. I guess they do have Bajuka Bog to do that. I think we're going to win this game if we do by just forcing through as much damage as possible, though. I guess I can go get another Felia. I can get in with everything. Go get another Felia with the Recruiter. Blink out this Devourer, and then... No, I can't. Felia the bridge the next turn. So that doesn't work out exactly the way I want it to. So what if I just bounce? Oh, well, I can blink my own Tide Hollow Sculler as well, get rid of the bridge, and go for a bit of a slower win with this Aven Interrupter. But that doesn't seem great, and it gives them a Dismember back for the Aven Interrupter. I think we just have to get in with everything at my opponent, blink out their Devourer of Destiny, let them block. They put it on Felia, which makes sense, and take 6 damage here. And then I can go Recruiter, or yes, I'll use the ability. Recruiter for, I guess, just Witch Enchanter to blow up the bridge. I guess another play I could have made is blinking out this Recruiter that I play pre-com, or blinking out one of my Recruiters, just getting in with the Aven Interrupter and the Felia, and going to get another Aven Interrupter, and just countering whatever relevant spell they play next turn. Yeah, that might have been better. But we're solidly locked into this line now. So let's get... I think Skyclave is going to be overall better than... No, let's get the Witch Enchanter. Play this out. Play out Aether Vial. And go and Surveil. And hopefully we're able to sneak through lethal next turn. Although Bowmasters kind of puts a damper on that. Not Bowmasters, Engineered Explosives. That's a good one. They blow up all my 3-drops. Yeah, I don't think I can really beat that. Yeah, I guess it would have been better to blink out and go for a slower approach here. They don't have any 3-drops, do they? No. Alright, so there goes my board. And they can't play the Ensnaring Bridge now. Oh, they can play the Ensnaring Bridge now. I guess we can keep playing this out. They are pretty low on life. They're getting in for 6. That's fine. And do they play the bridge? They probably don't play the bridge now because it means they can't attack. Okay. I guess Skyclave would have been better here. But, well, I don't know. Ephemerate. That doesn't do anything. So let's put it into the graveyard. Ether Vial trigger on the stack. Tick it up, yes. White Orchid Phantom. Oh. Oh, okay. It was at 1 already. Do I just play out the White Orchid Phantom now? I think so. They can attack next turn. So let's play that out. Blow up Eldrazi Temple, and that'll stop them from playing Kozilek's commands. Maybe they get some stuff stuck in their hand, as well as other Devourers. And they're out of basic, so maybe should have gone for that a little bit earlier. They find a cavern. And they have another Karn. So probably just dead to a Ballista here. They're making nothing into a creature. That makes sense. They playing out another Karn. Or just taking it slow. They are playing out another Karn. Okay. See what they can get here. Still gonna play this out, of course, but it is feeling a little dire now. Though this Ensnaring Bridge is stopping them from attacking, they do get to play a Walking Ballista. But I can just blow that up, and we're like kind of stalemated, although I guess they just go and get Cityscape Leveler. I don't know. I think we might be cooked here, fellas. Yes. There's an Overlord. Does that do anything for me? Can they Cityscape Leveler next turn? They can. Oh, goodness. Can Overlord back Felia or Recruiter? Gotta keep in mind they can just Leveler me next turn, though. Kind of need to answer this Ballista before anything else. So I think let's do that. Yeah, I think I do need to kill this Ballista, and I'm getting a little bit low on time, so I do have to keep going. I think I have to kill this Ballista, or trade it for something here, before I can do anything else, because otherwise they're just going to take over the game with that. They're going to kill my White Orchid Phantom, which makes sense, and I guess go get Cityscape Leveler and cast it next turn, which is pretty annoying. Is this Ancient Stirrings? No, Utopia Sprawl. Well, do they have enough? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they have exactly enough. That's rough. For me, maybe they boarded it in, though. I don't know. We'll see. They are carning awfully quickly. Means they probably have it. Cityscape Leveler has hit the battlefield. What are they blowing up? Probably this Tide Hollow Sculler? I guess they could also... It doesn't hit lands, does it? I think it's non-land. Right. Yeah, non-land permanent. Okay. What are you blowing up, sir? Their own Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. And attacking for 6. That's fine, although the Cityscape Leveler is going to be brutal next turn. Yeah, I gotta take it. That was a smart play by them. I find another Overlord, but I have to just impend this one so that I can find an answer to the Cityscape Leveler, which I don't even think I can. I guess I can find Flicker Wisp to blink my own Witch Enchanter, and then I can double chump, and I should be able to win with that. Wow, did I just pull this off out of nowhere? No, they have the Dismember still. Oh, but I can get Bowmasters back, and they do have to pay 2 life. Oh, they can unearth it. Right. Maybe they forget they can unearth it. We'll see. I thought I had them there for a second. I don't think I do, though. Let's see if they remember that they can unearth their Cityscape Leveler. Okay. Well, looks like they remembered it. It does have trample too, and it's going to get to blow something up. So yeah, nothing I can do here except die to the Cityscape Leveler. Say GG's and move on to the next one, but we put up a valiant effort against this Eldrazi opponent. I do think this is one of the worst matchups for my deck. I like to play against more of the fair decks that I can Solitude Ephemerate out of the game. But I'm going to pretty happily, for now, take this loss and keep trudging on through the next one, where I will see you all back for match number 2 on the draw. Oh, excuse me. Back for match number 2 on the play with Mulligan, for sure. Don't need a 6-lander. This one is a bit better. I can put back one of these Marsh Flats and have a nice little curve. Can use this Solitude if I really need to, and then get it back with the Overlord, or I can just play it slow. We'll see what turns out to be best here. Fatal Push, I think, is going to go to the yard. Just don't know what I'm up against, so I don't want to keep a removal spell when it might just be a dead card. But we'll see. Also, I already have some amount of removal in hand. Opponent goes Misty Rainforest, pass. Okay. So, against that, do I want to hold up a Bowmasters, or do I want to just play Overlord? I think Bowmasters is going to be a little bit better in this specific situation. I could also miss on Overlord, which is a bit scary. Don't know for sure it's going to happen, but it always could. They fetch Basic Island and Thought Scour. Okay. Let's go ahead and Bowmaster on that one. Looks like we're up against blue-black Frog Tide, and we'll hit them for another point of damage. See if they play a frog here. I have some answers for it if they do. Primarily this Solitude. They don't. So, Boggart Trawler's not a bad one either here. I think let's just go ahead and get in and then pass. I don't see why not. They go for like a Abhorrent Oculus next turn, then we'll be able to even interrupt it. Or even just like a frog. Be pretty happy to hit that one. Would love to cast this Overlord at some point. Don't know if that's going to work out though. They keep a card on top and untap. Okay. So they only have 5 cards in yard, but I guess if they play 1 fetch land, then they will be able to just hard cast an Oculus. There's a Polluted Delta. So that's probably what they're doing here. We'll see what they fetch. I'm assuming Basic Swamp. Could also be a Harbinger. Psychic Frog. Okay. I will happily counter that one. So let's just get, I think, just a Godless Shrine. And like I'm not too worried about my life total here. I guess I could have just got Basic Swamp too. Yeah, Basic Swamp probably would have been better, just in case they go for a Harbinger at some point. Let's even interrupt this so that they don't have a chance to discard and then unearth an Oculus. Then next turn I can go for a Boggart Trawler. Can also just go for an Overlord. But we'll see what we find. They're taking their sweet time. And they're going to go for a Subtlety here, which is pretty good. I think I just have to put that on the bottom too. Because now if they Subtlety and then get the Oculus down, that's pretty scary stuff. Let's put the Interrupter on the bottom. Okay, they don't do that though. So Frog is down, but not a ton else going on here. I think this turn, let's just play it slow. No reason to rush, lose out on card advantage. Let's just play the Boggart Trawler. Exile their whole graveyard. Stop them from slamming like a Murktide or an Oculus. And go ahead and surveil Liquor Wisp. And stay on top, I think. And we'll just pass. They play Watery Grave, Shocked in. And are they attacking with the Frog? No, they're not. Alright. So let's just Try and cast this Overlord. See what they do. They hard cast a Subtlety. Okay. So I'll put that on top. And I guess I get in with this, because if they discard 2 cards, then I am okay to just Solitude the Psychic Frog. I'm also fine to trade this with an Oculus. Let's do that. Or with a Subtlety, excuse me. 2 Subtleties in the main is, I think, a little strange for that deck, but probably good in this matchup. And they do block. We'll see what they discard. Or if they just want to trade. Discard a Murktide, makes sense. And an Oculus. Okay, so let's just go ahead and Solitude that now. They can gain 3, and hopefully they just have nothing else. But I guess they could Unearth me, they could play a Frog. They have a lot of good stuff. I am top decking one of the better cards in my deck, though. The Overlord. Would like to find a Felia. They play a Scalding Tarn, and just pass it back. Okay. So let's get in with the Boggart Trawler. First things first. Maybe, I guess I should have played this first. There was a few cards that would allow me to get in for more damage, like another Bowmasters would let me get in for more. And let's Impending out this Overlord. See if they have, I mean, their last card's probably something alright. But I guess it's not something that can answer this Overlord on the stack. See what I can get back here. I can get Felia or Emperor of Bones. I think Felia's a bit better. Just blinking out my Overlord. I guess Emperor of Bones starts exiling their graveyard. But Felia, I think it's Felia. See what they do. Probably getting a Surveil land. See where they put it as well. They put a card into the yard. And I don't think they're running main deck Toxic Deluge, so let's just go ahead and flash this out when I'm pretty sure they don't have a counterspell in hand. They had a Spell Snare, so I guess it didn't really matter which one I got then. But they are Hellbent, as am I, but I think I have a little bit of a board advantage right now. Any Thought Scours they might have as well are pretty bad into this Bowmasters. They allow me to start getting in with the Orc Army. Consider 2 is another one that's not great. We'll see if they put it on top, though. If they can get an Oculus online, that's something that's pretty scary. They put a Frog into the yard. They think that one's not going to be good enough, which they're probably right, and they find a Marsh Flats. And they pass back. I find Skyclave, and I'll just kill that Subtlety. Get in for 7. And yep. Win game number 1 up against Frog. I think this is a pretty good matchup for me. What do I want to board in, though? Definitely the Fairy Macabre. Just instant speed interaction against their Reanimator stuff is always awesome. What else do I want to bring in? Definitely not Wrath of the Skies. I'm considering these Thoughtseize, but I think Fatal Push is better here. Is there anything else I don't want? I think I can just go down this White Orchid Phantom for a Fairy Macabre, and, like, this is one of my better matchups, so I'm not super worried about having not enough to board in here. Let's just submit this back. All of my Game 1 cards are pretty good against them, and it's not like a unfair matchup where I really need to be doing stuff against them, like specific stuff to win. This hand is incredible. Just everything I would ever want. So I'm going to keep it. Opponent kept 7 as well. See what they do on turn 1. Flooded Strand, probably fetching Surveil land, but I guess it could also be a Thought Scour or a Consider. I think it's usually best. I played that deck a fair bit, and I find that it's usually best to just Surveil land and hold on to your cantrip and just get the value out of your land while you know you can. I'm just going to go ahead and get a Godless Shrine and slam this Aether Vial, though. Opponent is Spell Piercing me? Consign to Memory on my Aether Vial. Okay. I can't imagine that one is great a lot of the time, but pretty good there, as the Aether Vial, once resolved, would have been hard for them to remove, and would have gotten me a decent amount of value. But do what I can here. Let's just play out a Witch-Blessed Meadow untapped. Go down to 14, which is a little bit low, but that's all right. And go ahead and pass back to my opponent. They get a Undercity Sewers. I'm not going to play the Felia now this time, just because it's very likely they have a Spell Snare, in which case I don't want to give them the use of their 1 mana. See what they do. They just pass back. I'm probably just going to play Bowmasters, as I don't care about that one getting countered as much. Just play it nice and slow. And they Spell Snare it. Not surprising. Let's see if we can find some more land here. Would be pretty nice. Find an Aether Vial, which I think I will run out, and then I still have Solitude Ephemerate should I need to do that. This is pretty slow play, but it will get me ahead on mana eventually. They boarded in 2 Consigns. Okay. I'll just pass it back to them. Play the slow, grindy game. Probably fetching another Undercity Sewers. Yep, there it is. And they put it into the yard, put a sink into the stupor, into the yard, sink into stupor. See what they play out here, if anything. Looks like a Murktide Regent. Or just nothing. I'm fine with both of those things, honestly. Again, hoping to find land. Don't, so let's just not let them use their mana and go for Ophelia on this next turn. They cycle Unearth, sure. They're stuck on 3 lands as well. See if they find a 4th. They find a Consider. Just cantripping through the deck over there. Put a Scalding Tarn into the yard. Find a Swamp. And they pass it back over to me, so I'll just go for this Felia. See if they have anything to say about it. Maybe a Fatal Push, too. They let me untap. And I find an Arid Mesa, so that's probably going to fetch a Plains, just so I can... Or maybe a Surveil land, we'll see. But let's just go for the play. This is the one. They have the counterspell for it, but that's alright. And just keep playing it nice and slow here. Attack with Felia, target nothing, unfortunately. And I'll probably go ahead and get a Surveil land, just so that I can try and Emperor of Bones back my Overlord next turn. Opponent just passing. So likely some more counterspells, but I can just play 1-for-1 with them forever, pretty much. Felia will go into the yard. Don't need another one of those right now. And do I find anything? No. So let's just play Recruiter. They Stern Scolding that one. That's okay. We're just going to keep trading 1-for-1 till they're out of counterspells. Eventually, they'll play some sort of threat, and I can get some value out of this Solitude. But until then, just keep getting in for 2 with the little dog. Alright, untap. Find a land for the Emperor of Bones. So, let's just run them out. My options are pretty limited here. Can also use these Ephemerates as just protection spells for my creatures, which is probably what I'm going to do. Let's exile Overlord. And like I said, I'm just gonna Ephemerate this to play around the push. They shoot the Sheriff. I'll do it again. So my guy stays alive. My Overlord does get exiled forever, which kind of sucks, but I can get some other stuff. Let's just blink out the Emperor to get a counter on our Felia. And got 5 power. And one of the creatures is an Emperor of Bones, which is going to get me quite a bit of value next turn. If they don't find yet another way to kill it, which it looks like they don't. So unfortunately have to let this rebound go, but that's alright. I find Recruiter of the Guard, that's a pretty good one. But let's just go to combat, exile this recruiter, and see if we can't put it into play. All right, they're letting me do it. So I'll go ahead and get the yes to Recruiter of the Guard's ability. Go and get, I think, just an Orcish Bowmaster. Oh, I should have got Tide Hollow Sculler, I think. I was planning on getting both Bowmaster and Tide Hollow Sculler. I'm going to blink out my own Recruiter, but I should have got the Tide Hollow Sculler with the first one so I could play it second main. Although, I guess then I can't hold up Bowmaster anyway. See what this is. I'm not really sure what it could be, why they would have waited on any type of removal spell. But yeah, just getting the Bowmasters to diversify my threats. And it doesn't need to be anything special with this. I already have removal if I need it. Just want to keep finding little things to poke them with until they die when I'm feeling like I'm pretty in control of this game. Alright. So the trigger resolves. They taking the 7 damage here. What's nice about this little combo here is I'll get to keep around that recruiter. No longer has a finality counter on it. They're Odawaraing now. Seems like an odd time for it, but that's okay. I don't think it really mattered. That would have slowed me down a little bit, but overall, still have a ton of stuff to grind with, so get back the recruiter. Doesn't get sacrificed anymore. Let's go and get... What do I want here? Maybe just Fairy Macabre to play around any reanimation stuff they might do. Just a little bit of extra protection. But yeah, I don't think there's a ton my opponent can do, and they scoop it up. So 1-1. Loving this deck. This is a really good matchup for me. And yeah, hoping to win the rest of them out. Unfortunately, played against Eldrazi, match number 1. So let's try and avoid that one for the rest of the tournament. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Just realized I was not recording, so just did commentary over game number 1 against Boros Energy for nobody but myself. But we're back on the draw for game number 2 against Boros Energy. Having won game 1, I do like this matchup quite a bit, and a pretty nice hand here. So let's keep it, and hope we don't get turn 1 Ragavand, pretty much, but I don't know how good that's going to end up being when I do have this Sanctifier, or a little later. But opponent is going for no play turn 1. I'm okay with that. That is really what you like to see, and I find basically the perfect card here. To go along with this Ephemerate, I have a Solitude now. Let's go ahead and get basic Plains to play around Blood Moon, and go ahead and Aether Vial. See what play they go for on this next turn. They get Elegant Parlor, putting an Arena of Glory into the yard, so most likely have a lot of lands in hand. It is pretty good to see them not on Arena of Glory, as that can be a pretty scary one. They go ahead and Static Prison my Aether Vial, which, sure thing. I find another Solitude. Do I want to get the Sanctifier out now? Or maybe I wait on that until maybe they use a Thraben Charm or something. I think let's just pass with Felia up. Opponent fetches another Elegant Parlor, sure. And they put Flage directly into the yard. So next turn, I'm gonna need to Sanctifier that away. But it is good that I already have it. Gosh, Surveil Land's so good in that deck. Flage, also just an incredibly difficult card to deal with. But I definitely do have the tools in this deck. And they just pass. So I don't really have anything to blink with this Felia. So I'm just going to run it out and be like pretty happy if it trades with a removal spell. That'll make it easier to get these Solitude Ephemerates off later. So yeah, that's fine. And find a Marsh Flats, which is also pretty good. So let's play that out. Play the Sanctifier. Get rid of that pesky Flage. And go ahead and attack. There's no way they run like Containment Priest, right? Let's blink this. If I get Containment Priested, I will eat my words. But there's no way. There's no way they have that. Okay, so Felia gets a bit bigger. We'll see if they kill in response with a Galvanic Discharge. Looks like that's what they're going to do to save on an energy. Or just play in their own Felia. That's fine too. Mine gets one bigger. Sanctifier comes back. Opponent pays the one on the Static Prison. That's fine. I'm really okay to trade my Aether Vial for a nice piece of removal on their part. Let's see what they decide to do here. Static Prison. I guess this is going to be on my Sanctifier, which I'm quite alright with. Already has gotten a little bit of value. Okay, so they get rid of the Sanctifier. For now, at least. They're going to have to be paying a lot of energy for these Static Prisons. And I guess they're going to blink out one of them to essentially just get 2 more energy. I guess they can trade it. Oh. Yeah, now it'll go ahead and exile my Felia, which is pretty good for them. Again, I think I'm still just playing this slow, and I'll just try and Skyclave their Felia on this next turn. See what they play, I guess. They're fetching. If they play out a bunch of creatures, I can also go for Solitude Ephemerate. They go for Seasoned Pyromancer. So that is a couple creatures. They discard a Flage. That's quite annoying, but I can just get this Sanctifier back with the Skyclave on my turn. So they'll get that back. That's fine. They're targeting my Felia now. I'm going to go ahead and get a Plains. Try and get a Plains. Get a Plains. Hitch. Wow. Experiencing a lot of lag right now. Hitch. Solitude to play a Solitude. Go ahead and stack my triggers. Exile 1. Exile 2. And Evoke happens. Now I can go ahead and trigger these two. Have my Aether Vial back now, but it's not doing a ton. Maybe later in the game it might, though. It is a nice mana engine. Ephemerate, Solitude again. Kill this Elemental. Draw for turn. Find another Solitude, which isn't the worst, but not incredible either. Then I'll just go ahead and get rid of this Static Prison to get back my Sanctifier, and get rid of their Flage, as that's pretty much the scariest card ever. And yeah, sit behind my stuff here and hope that they can't get too much value, go crazy with a Johnny Goblin Bombardment or something like that, although I do kind of have protection from that in a way. They could still block pretty nicely. They just play an Ocelot Pride. Okay. And, oh, they have something else too. Flage. That's scary. But not the end of the world. It does get exiled, so it is just 3 mana Lightning Helix. But it's going to get them a token as well. I have 2 2/2s against their 2 1/1s. But I think I'm just going to hold back for now. Their grindier game plan of Flage is gone in some regard with this Sanctifier being on the board. And I find a Flicker Wisp, which is actually a pretty nice draw, because what I can do here is just Flicker Wisp my Skyclave. They get a 1/1 back, but that's not very good. And I'm going to go ahead and get back Ophelia. And then I'll just get to keep flickering and killing stuff with this Felia and Skyclave combo. They play a Goblin Bombardment, which is pretty scary. And do they have the Ajani too? Jeez, man. They're going crazy over there. Okay, so they get to kill pretty much all my stuff, except this Sanctifier. And they can probably gain life this turn, too. Depending on how they get in. Okay. Ajani flips. Wow, that was nuts. Okay, you deal 4 damage to, I guess, Skyclave. So I'm going to be left with just this Sanctifier. Well, my opponent has a ton of stuff. You get to sack one of these cats. Another cat. Or not even the cats, they just sack those, yeah. There's really nothing I can do here. This Johnny's just going to slowly take over the game now. Unless I find, like... Recruiter would be nice. Emperor of Bones is pretty good if I hadn't ticked up this Aether Vial, but doesn't really do anything this turn, so I think I just have to pass back and take an absolute ton of damage here. And yeah, with that Goblin Bombardment, I don't think this Emperor of Bones is going to be able to do anything either. Wow, they really had the perfect way to win this. They went. Play Ocelot Pride into play. Yeah, let's scoop this one up, go to the next. Well, I guess I could find, like, Overlord here. That might do something. I'll take all this damage, and yeah, they're gonna make more cats. And am I just dead? They play another creature I am. I think it's over. But I'm never giving up. Guess I'll tick that up. Yeah, that's it. Alright. Go to game number 3. Hopefully my opponent not finding something as crazy as a Johnny and Goblin Bombardment in a 1-turn window. Maybe I do want a Wrath of the Skies, but I don't think so. I think my game 1 plan is pretty good against them. Yeah, let's go into game 3. And hopefully do a little better. I felt like my hand was really, really good there too, but they had kind of exactly what they needed to get that done. There's nothing I can do about that, so oh well. Have a pretty nice hand here too. Backstreets into Overlord, also have Solitude and Skyclave, and just kind of answers for everything. Let's go ahead and Surveil. I think I just want that on top. I think that's just always going to be really good. Just kind of the best card in my deck. See if they go for a turn 1 play. They go for the Ocelot Pride. So I think what I'm going to do here is just Solitude away this Recruiter of the Guard. Kill that immediately. And then make sure I have something to get back with this first Overlord. Say yes. Get back Solitude and just pass the turn. Start setting up this Impending on the Overlord. See what my opponent can do here. They play a Plains, and do they have the Ajani? They do. Pretty good one. Hopefully can find a land here. Aether Vial is also pretty good. Let's just go ahead and do that. Push the Ajani now. When they can't, flip it and pass the turn. Just start to slowly set up a grindy game. Not let them get ahead. See what they do here. Could be Blood Moon, could be Seasoned Pyromancer, is also pretty good. They discard Flage Marsh Flats, make 1/1/1. I'm looking for Ephemerate, of course. Tick up the Aether Vial, draw a card, find another land. So what do I want to do this turn? I could Skyclave, but that doesn't seem great. I could play out this second Overlord and get back the Emperor of Bones, probably, or just Fairy Macabre. But no, I think I got to try and slow them down a little bit. It's going to be hard for them to play the Flage next turn, because they can't just fetch land and do it. They're short one card. So, yeah, let's just play out second Overlord. Get back the Emperor. Or do I want to get back a Flicker Wisp now? Yeah, probably. Let's get back Flicker Wisp, play this, and just pass. And then what I can do is Flicker Wisp one of the Overlords and get back Fairy Macabre and deal with the Flage that way. Opponent is getting in for quite a bit here. 5 damage, putting me down to 13. But I'm going to try and take over the board pretty nicely next turn. They fetch. Still short one card in the yard for Flage. Maybe Blood Mooning here. No, it's Showdown. Showdown is so weird, because it slows their game plan down so much, but it does draw them quite a bit of cards. So they find 2 lands and a bunch of other stuff. Let's go ahead and fetch... Oh, I guess both of my Shadowy Backstreets are gone, so I should just get another Plains here in case they do go for a Blood Moon. Pick up the Aether Vial. Say yes. Find a Marsh Flats. Okay. Going to just Flicker Wisp my Overlord. Play out a Marsh Flats. And... do I even want to get back Fairy Macabre here? I kind of just want to get back a 2-drop, like a Felia or something. Because if they go for Flage here, that's not doing a ton, and it basically means they can only play their Galvanic Discharge out. So yeah, let's just say yes and get back Felia and try and vial that in this turn. Pass to them. Showdown phase 2 goes on the stack. That's fine. Arena of Glory would be pretty bad here, but they don't have it. They do go for the Arid Mesa. And they play a Guide of Souls, putting a counter on the 1/1, sure. And it looks like they're just going to try and play out all their stuff this turn then. Which I'm alright with. Pose. A Thraben Charm to destroy an enchantment. Put a counter there, that's fine. We'll see if they just discharge now. Probably can't run out this Felia, because I need them to discharge something else. They do just discharge now, though. So, okay. That's fine. Do they have, like, an Ocelot Pride, too? Doesn't look like it. And do I have to go for a Solitude now? Kinda think I do. So let's go Solitude, pitching Skyclave. Exiling this Season Pyromancer. And take 5. They pass. Down to 5 minutes on the clock. Let's fetch 4. Oh, basic Swamp is gone, so let's just get Godless Shrine tapped. Go ahead and Aether Vial in this Felia and probably lose if they have more removal, but I feel like I kind of had to go for it here. Doesn't look like they do, so that's good. Let's definitely tick up the Aether Vial. Hopefully draw something good. Another Felia is not great. So we'll get in with Felia. Blink out this Overlord. They say no blocks. Then we'll get it back and can hopefully find Boggart Trawler would be the best here. Oh, they're fetching. I guess just getting a Surveil land, probably. They Surveil. Probably better to do it after, but I won't dog on them too much. Overlord comes back. We find the Boggart Trawler is there. So let's go ahead and get that back. And then just Violet in immediately. That one is really good here, because it's going to allow me to get rid of this Flage while also keeping some amount of threats around. Then we'll pass. Still not in the greatest spot here. They could just make a big creature and fly it over. If they have just like an Ajani or... Yeah, that's enough, huh? Oh, not if they do it like that. Because, yeah, I think they might have just missed lethal here, but we'll see. They might just have more creatures. See what they do. I need them to have essentially no other spells, and they do have a spell. Put the counter on the Guide of Souls, and I think that's going to do it, because now I'm going to have to chump. And yeah, losing match number 3, unfortunately. They top decked really, really well in game number 2, but got there in game number 1. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see that one. But gonna keep playing to hopefully get to some record that gets me my money back. I'm running a little bit low on play points and stuff, surprisingly. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Good games to my opponent here. And peace out. Match 4 on the draw. Gonna mulligan a 0-land hand. Hopefully can do a little bit better than that. And find a 1-lander. But I do have Solitude Ephemerate, so I think I'm just gonna throw back this Emperor of Bones, or maybe the Fatal Push, and just hope that we can get enough done with the Solitude Ephemerate to slow them down until I can find a second land. I think it's better than going to 5. So let's put back Fatal Push or Emperor of Bone. I think we should just rely on the Solitude Ephemerate for our removal this game and put back the Emperor of Bones with it. Right, so opponent plays a Scalding Tarn. I find an Overlord. Let's just play this tapped and pass. See what they do. Maybe it is blue-black again, or some type of red-white deck. Oh, goodness. If this is Ruby Storm, then we might be cooked for game number 1. And it looks like it might be double red fetch land, triple red fetch land, actually. Are they going for a Ruby here or a Rawl? Reckless Impulse. Well, maybe they just never find anything. That could happen. Okay, I find nothing again. So I'll pass back to them. Probably die this turn, but we'll see. They're getting full value off their Reckless Impulse. They can take it really as slow as they need here. Looks like they're just going to go for a Metamorphose. And it also looks like they don't have a ton. But I don't have anything going on, really. I have one removal spell and might be able to top deck something next turn. We'll see. They have the Ruby Medallion. Would have preferred to see Rawl, but oh well. I find Iganjo, so let's play that out. Would have preferred a black land, but that's okay. Hopefully my opponent has 6 lands in hand and can't do anything. But I feel like that's pretty unlikely. They go ahead and fetch for presumably another mountain, and there it is. And they're going to go Seek the Beast, finding Strike It Rich and Desperate Ritual. Okay. Maybe they're just on the Questing Druid plan, though. That would be also ideal. There's Pyretic Ritual. And there's Past in Flames. I guess we'll let them do that. They are only drawing a couple cards here. 1, 2, 3 deeper into their deck. So maybe they just exhaust all their resources now. I guess we'll see. Starting with the Manamorphose makes sense. And then going for the Reckless Impulse. They find another Reckless Impulse and a Questing Druid, so they might actually just be on the Questing Druid plan here. There's a Rawl, and I probably have to kill that now. Yeah. Let's go ahead and pitch, I think, Recruiter, honestly, and then keep this second Ephemerate. Oh, right, okay. So I have to hope they lose a flip here. They don't. So I think we can go ahead and scoop this one up now. Not beating Rawl. Go to game 2. Hopefully have some better draws there. Let's see, I got a lot to board in. Got Sanctifier, Double Thoughtseize, Aven Interrupter. That's 6 cards to bring in, which means I need to take out probably the Fatal Pushes. I think I'd rather have Solitude as my removal because it's 0 mana. And then I'll take out this White Orchid Phantom, as well as, I think, an Emperor of Bones, and could be Flicker Wisp as well, is a little bit slow. Let's do that. Ship it back. See what we can get done here. Definitely gonna keep this. I have turn 1 Aether Vial into turn 2 Thoughtseize, holding up Fairy Macabre, and also have an Aven Interrupter for a little bit later, which is pretty good in this matchup. Probably my best card. In the last video I recorded, I was able to win this matchup, which felt pretty... I was very happy to win it, with a lot of Aven Interrupters, and that's why I have 3 in the board. I do think it is pretty good here, and pretty good against Eldrazi, although I do need a little more testing in that matchup. I've only played against it like once, and when I did, I think they got pretty unlucky. I was able to win, but yeah, I lost against it in round number 1 of this challenge. There's an Overlord, which is pretty good. I'll go ahead and take just Ruby Medallion, leave them with Questing Druid, some Rituals, a Grape Shot, and not a ton else. A pretty good hand from them. only one land is a little bit scary for me. They put a card on top, which is also pretty scary. So hopefully they don't just find Rawl here. But it looks like they're just going for the Questing Druid play. I will tick up my Aether Vial, find a land. Very good, very good. Go ahead and just play out an Overlord, and then hold up Felia here. As well as this Fairy Macabre, but really I need to get up to 3 on the Aether Vial to get this Aven Interrupter going. That's going to be my best route to victory. So opponent seeks the beast, finding Manamorphose and a land. That's fine. I don't think I'm going to Bowmasters the Manamorphose here. Just because I really want to get this Felia down and start trudging ahead, getting ahead here. But let's see what they do. And also start looping this Fairy Macabre. I'm going to get a lot of triggers, and I don't really need anything right now. They go for a Wren's Resolve, which we didn't know about. They find Gemstone Caverns and Questing Druid, and pass. So that's fine. Let's go ahead and flash in this Felia. Take a look at both of our graveyards here. I'll untap. Definitely putting a counter on this. Say yes. Find another Aether Vial. So I think what I'm going to do is get in with Felia, blink my Overlord, and then just Fairy Macabre away their 2 flashbackable spells, go to my end step, get back the Overlord, and with it I will take a Fairy Macabre, as I already have an Aven Interrupter, but I can get another one for next turn. If I could have cast 2, I probably would have got that back, but I can't. They start with Pyretic Ritual. I think I just want to interrupt that. Say yes. Interrupt it. Just whatever their first spell is. Gonna be a good one to interrupt. You go Desperate Ritual. Maybe just Grape Shot here. Yeah, so they're gonna get to kill my Aven Interrupter, but that's okay. I'm gonna have another one for next turn. And I'm dealing quite a bit of damage, and they're just gonna scoop it up. Okay. So, we'll go to game number 3 on the draw, unfortunately, but not a lot we can do about that. Hand is really, really slow, but I do have an Aven Interrupter. Could maybe get back a Solitude with the Overlord. I have Surveil lands. See what they did. They kept 7 pretty quickly, too. I think I just have to get a little lucky here. I think I have to keep this. And just hope they have a slower hand, or they can find a Thoughtseize on turn 1. Wow. Great draw from me. Let's run that out. Go ahead and take the Ruby Medallion, because it's possible for me to find some other answers for this roll. I guess I do have the Witch Enchanter, but that's a little bit slow. Hope they get stuck on lands. Kind of got to be the plan for me here. And they do. Okay, so not in a bad spot here then. I have an Ephemerate at some point for this Aven Interrupter too, which is pretty nice. But for now, let's just run out the Overlord. Find. I think I'm just gonna get Solitude with it. Otherwise, it's pretty slow. No, if they just play Rawl next turn, I'm probably not dead. But can I lose if I get back Solitude and play slow? I think I'm gonna get back the Solitude. Just play slow. Pass to my opponent. They don't find a land, so it's gonna be pretty hard for me to lose anyway now. I find Igonjo. Let's just play a Marsh Flats and pass the turn. Start ticking down this Overlord. See if they find a land this turn. They don't, so they're just going to have to go to discard. They scoop. Lagging out a little bit here. But let's just go ahead and fetch a Surveil land. Look for Felia or something like that. Definitely don't want to land. They go to discard. Discard a Glimpse the Impossible, which is one we didn't know about. So I don't think I'm ever going to use this Igonjo, so let's just get an Aether Vial into play. Start ticking that up too. Play the control game pretty well. And pass. See if they can find a land now. They do find the land. But whatever 2-drop they decide to play here, I'm just going to interrupt. Yeah. Just going to interrupt that one. Put this on the stack. Tick it up. Find a Fairy Macabre, which is fine here. Just go ahead and get in with the Aven Interrupter. Pass the turn. Take it nice and slow. Eventually, this Overlord will come off of its impending. And I'll be able to do something with it. Attack, start getting value and a quicker clock. Opponent is Pyretic Ritualing. Do I want to Ephemerate now? No. They're probably just going to Rawl. Ruby Medallion. So Pyretic Ritual is gone, and they have Ren's Resolve plotted. We know about those 3 cards. But if they go for more rituals here, that's pretty scary. So let's just Ephemerate this now. Have them plot that. And go fetch a Surveil land. Find an Ephemerate, which I think I'm going to keep. Just another turn of Aven Interrupter. Seems pretty nice. And no, I don't want to cast that one. Yes, I do want to tick that up. Draw the Ephemerate. And go ahead and just get in for 2 and pass the turn. Overlord is now a creature, so it's going to start getting me just insane amounts of value. They find a land, which is pretty good. They start with a Manamorphose. That one I'm fine with. That just cycles, essentially. And they play a Grape Shot. So let's let them do that. Let them Grape Shot and then just Ephemerate it. Have them plot the Grape Shot. Now they have Ren's Resolve, Ruby Medallion, and Grape Shot plotted. And that is enough for us to win the match. So beating Storm, feeling like the matchup might be pretty good, although they did stumble a little bit. But yeah, 2-2. Gonna keep this train rolling and just shoot for as high as I can go. I don't think I can make top 8 at this point, but it's a long tournament. Want to get some content out, do as well as I can, and hopefully make some of my play points back. See you in the next one. Max out. Getting into match number 5 on the draw with... I have no play until turn 3. I do have the ability to catch up with Solitude Ephemerate once I get to that point, but... I don't know, let's see what my opponent did. I started on 7. I think I can do better. It's not awful, but I do think I can do better. And this right here is definitely better. So let's go ahead and put back, I think, the Boggart Trawler. Put back one of the lands. And yeah, I'll try and lead off with a turn 1 Aether Vial. I am taking a fair bit of damage from my lands, so ideally they're not going too fast, but it looks like we might be up against this Storm again? Or is it Boros? Are they going to Ragavan me? Just straight up burn. Okay. So, against actual factual burn, what do I do here? I think I still need to shock on turn 1 to get this Aether Vial down, but I might just play it slow after that. I don't know, maybe it's best to just play one of these Witch Enchanters out, but I think I'm going to have to shock at some point. Taking a turn off against an aggro deck doesn't seem really good either, especially when I have such a slow start to begin with. Really would like to find Solitude here. Just getting bolted more. Let's see what else they play here. Nothing that turn. So, I will use Aether Vial's ability. And, gosh. As bad as it feels, I'm gonna do this, just so I can get the pressure on quickly. Go ahead and Tide Hollow Sculler, hopefully take away one of their burn spells. Maybe they're a little bit flooded. Might have to end up solituding some of my own creatures at some point. But, I mean, Eidolon doesn't do a ton, so let's just take one of the bolts. See what they do here. A lot of my spells are a little bit more expensive, so I think I can let them have an Eidolon. I can also just vial in anything less than 3. They bolt my Sculler, get back their other bolt. So they have Lightning Bolt, Fiery Islet, and Eidolon. Play the Fiery Islet. And they bolt me, and then I guess just play Eidolon? Alright, I will say yes to Aether Vial's ability. Then I will draw, go ahead and play out this Overlord. Get back. I think I might want... Do I want Tide Hollow Sculler or Witch Enchanter? Do I want to Sculler them this turn? I think I just have to Bowmaster them here and block the Eidolon. Oh, definitely want to play this land out, though. I do think the Sculler might be good at some point. So, let's just see what they have. Hopefully they don't double bolt me here. Maybe they crack this Fiery Islet, and I can get a very nice bit of Bowmaster value. They play Wooded Foothills. That's pretty good for me. And they go ahead and fetch. Let's see what they get. Just another mountain onto the board. They're cracking Fiery Islet, so let's go ahead and Bowmaster. Take care of this Eidolon. Yes. Shoot that once. Then shoot it again when they draw a card, and hopefully they don't double bolt me here. And it is very possible, but I'm gonna try my best to make sure it doesn't happen. Hoping to see a lot of creatures come up here. Alright, they just pass it back. So do I want to use Aether Vial's ability? I don't think so. I think I'll keep it at 2. Go ahead and just play out this Recruiter of the Guard. Say yes. Go get... Do I have anything else that gains life? No, so we'll just get the Solitude and get in for 3 damage. And then during their draw step, I'll flash in this Tidehollow Sculler. Another thing I can do, notably, is exile it in response to its own trigger so that they don't get the card back ever. The Sculler is also 2 triggers. I might actually just do that. Gain a couple life and make sure a card is gone for good. But let's go ahead and vial it in first. Alright, I will say yes to the ability. Put in a Tidehollow Sculler. And do I want to Solitude in response? I don't think so. I think I'll just look at their hand and take a card and keep a 2/2, and if I need to Solitude something, I can hit the Orc Army token to gain 2 life. So let's take a look at what they're working with here. Skewer the Critics and Skullcrack. So definitely taking Skullcrack, as that one stops me from gaining life. They have Fiery Islet and Skewer the Critics left over there. Play the Fiery Islet, see if they draw a card. They probably have to, which is alright with me. Go ahead and deal them 1 with my Bowmaster. They let it happen. And play out a Monastery Swift Spear. That's fine. Me. Doesn't do a ton here. Any creature is a pretty good draw, for me at least. It's like a pretty bad draw for them, because I've just jammed up the board so well here that they're basically never going to be able to get through with those. Let's not tick up Aether Vial. Want to keep it on Felia. Play an Arid Mesa that I probably won't ever end up cracking, and get in for 5 here. They don't have any way to trigger Prowess, so not scared of them getting back this Skullcrack just yet, although they might try and do that next turn. We'll see. And Overlord ticks down. I have a couple blockers. See what they draw. They play out a Goblin Guide. That's fine. And this is if they've dealt me damage. No, if I've lost life. So I really don't want to fetch on my turn, because that would turn on the Skewer the Critics and allow them to cast it this turn, whereas if I don't lose any life this turn, there's just no way they can ever do that. So do they get in or do they not? They decide not to. So let's go ahead and flash in this Felia with the Aether Vial. And then if I kill one thing, they gain 1. And they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I do have lethal. So I'll probably just go for that. This is a sorcery. We know they have it in hand. Don't think there's any way I can lose. I'm just a little nervous because it is Xaxes. And I'm throwing away basically all my stuff. But yeah, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is exactly enough to kill them. So let's do it. Hope I didn't miss anything. But there's not really any actual risk involved, so win game number 1. Moving on to game number 2. What do I want? I think Aven Interrupter is pretty bad here. I think I want the Sanctifier. And I don't think I want Emperor of Bones. That's a little too slow for me, although it could be good with Solitude. Maybe I'll keep in 1 as a tutor target late game. That'll allow me to get some hasty life gain going. Do I want Wrath of the Skies? That just feels so slow. What do I want, though, of these cards here? I think White Orchid Phantom is fine. They have a couple lands that it could blow up for value, and being a first striker against, like, Goblin Guides is nice, I guess. Let's just do that. But I think my game 1 plan is pretty good against them. I noticed that I haven't really been boarding a lot, and I think part of the reason for that is because I've been playing against some of the better matchups, where the decks that are really hard for my deck are the ones I have sideboard hate for, like Breach and Eldrazi, although Eldrazi and Titan seem like two of my hardest matchups, and I really want to find better stuff for the sideboard, but there's like not a ton for this style of deck that's even very good there. I've been thinking about maybe Orim's Chant, but that's much better in like the green-white version of this deck that has Eternal Witness to just get it back and Orim's Chant them over and over again. But hopefully somebody comes up with some tech that I'm missing, because I do like this deck, but it does struggle in certain matchups. So game number 2 on the draw here with an all-right hand. I have double Solitude, and I have a Recruiter and ways to get some value. I am missing black mana right now, but I think I'm going to keep it, even if it's not perfect. See what my opponent leads off on. Maybe a Goblin Guide. Nope. Exiling a Rift Bolt. So we'll go to our first turn. Draw. Find an Arid Mesa, which is pretty good. That's going to fetch me a Surveil land. And then I'll be able to start buying back these Solitudes and hopefully getting a lot of value. Don't have any life gain cards in my sideboard. Burn is not something I have really been preparing for, but it is nice that my mana base here isn't dealing me a ton of damage in this hand, which is another good reason to keep this one. Opponent gets to Rift Bolt me. That's fine. I will take a bolt. Just one, though, please. Don't cast any other spells this game. And what have they got on turn 2 for us? Is an Eidolon, so that's fine, too. Go ahead and get a Shadowy Backstreet. Fruiter of the Guard into the yard. I think I don't need that one. And just get it back with this Overlord. Make sure that I have something to get back to. So let's mill over 4. Find that and a Witch Enchanter. Let's just get back the Witch Enchanter, but I probably am going to pitch it to this Solitude, but maybe our opponent will cast some spells first. If they just go to attack, I am going to Solitude this thing, though. Yeah, if they just want to attack, I'm not going to let them get a free 2 damage. They are a burn deck, so... Let's flash in a Solitude, getting rid of this Witch Enchanter. Witch Enchanter? This one. Right here. So, evoke and kill. They can gain 2 life. That's quite alright with me. And they exile a Rift Bolt and pass the turn. Okay. So, I find an Aether Vial. And I think I kind of want to get that down this turn. Start ticking it up. Play a bit of a slow game. Keep the Recruiter in hand in case I need to pitch it to Solitude. And then I'll just go ahead and play out this Emperor, which is kind of a must-kill for them. Because otherwise I'm going to exile this Solitude and then just have a hasty Solitude whenever I should want it. Although I guess they just get to Rift Bolt it. So maybe I wait on exiling the Solitude, because I might want to exile it later. Yeah, maybe this wasn't the play. Maybe I want them to Rift Bolt me instead, and just hold up Bowmasters. Yeah, that seems like it would have been better looking back at it now, but oh well. I think we're still in a pretty good spot. Overlord is ticking down, still have a Solitude, as well as some other interaction. Let's see if they just decide to crack this Fiery Islet, or do something else. They Skullcrack me. Sure, wasn't gaining life this turn anyway. Notably, Skullcrack sucks against a card now banned, the One Ring, because it targets the player. Even though it will stop the protection damage, you can't even get it off, so They just bolt me. Okay. Going for the throat. I see you. I like it. Let's see what else they do here. Lava Spike me. Sure. I'll go down to 7. And maybe I even just get back this Solitude here and attack for 7. Holding up my own. I don't really have any worries about getting out card advantaged here, so I think I can play my... or use my resources pretty aggressively, as long as I'm not taking a ton of damage. But who knows what they have here. Skewer the critics my face. Okay. You got it, man. Let's put a counter on this Aether Vial. See what we draw. This Barbarian Ring is going to be online pretty soon, which will deal 2 damage to me, or something else. Say yes. Draw Swamp. Basically the perfect draw. I was hoping for a 4th land, but I didn't want to take any damage from it. So let's not take any damage from it and draw a 2nd black source. And yeah, activate this. Get the Solitude. Could just exile my own Emperor and gain 4 more. Let's do it. I mean, I'll just gain as much life as we can. Oh. As I say, gain as much life as we possibly can, I miss an attack for 3, which would have gained me 3 life. So really hoping to not lose because of that. But, that's bad. That's bad for me. What a punt. Just clicking too fast. Should be at 11 here to my opponent's 15. They do only have 2 cards in hand, but still not feeling great about it. Like, if they find a few burn spells in a row now, really, really good for them. They just find a Bloodstained Mire. So let's flash in the Bowmasters now. I don't think it really matters exactly when I do it. They can draw their card now if they want to, but I don't think the 1 trigger off the Bowmasters mattered that much. We lose? Oh gosh. Yeah, this should just be over. Oh well. Hopefully we can still get there. Even with a little bit of a misclick. That is honestly my most common misclick, is I just skip through combat so often. Let's deal them 1 though. Yeah, they only need 2 bolts to really get it done now too. Which is terrifying. Because they have this Barbarian Ring they can just sacrifice. And we'll see if they do that now, or see what they're doing. Maybe, whatchamacallit? 2-mana Searing Blaze. Hoping to draw another white card so I can play this Recruiter and still be holding up Solitude while also getting a Felia. I guess I could get a Sanctifier if they don't crack this Barbarian Ring, which might be good enough. They do have the Searing Blaze. And I'll deal them 1 and make a guy. And that would essentially mean they need 1 more bolt to get me. So I think that's probably going to be my play. And I find a Witch Enchanter. So let's go ahead and get the Sanctifier. Say yes. Where is it? Get Sanctifier. Flash it in with the Aether Vial. That's also going to stop them from ever casting, or ever being able to attack with any creatures. And pretty much turn off that Barbarian Ring. So I think it is well worth it. Although not ideal. Yeah, if I had 3 more life here, I'd feel so safe, but alas, I do not. And they have an Eidolon, but I don't care about an Eidolon too much. That's honestly just going to help me kill them faster. Let's tick up the Aether Vial, draw for turn, find a Plains. That's pretty good, as it allows me to hard cast the Solitude. I also have this Overlord coming off of Impending, so let's just get in for 2, get as much damage in as we can. And probably just keep holding up this Solitude to gain life in response to like a Skull Crack or something, or any other bolt effect that they have here. They're taking more damage than me off their Eidolon. Next turn I'm going to have lethal, so I really just need to hold up this Solitude. They don't have Threshold, so Barbarian Ring doesn't do anything. See if they attack. They do not, so that's fine. Say yes to Aether Vial. That way I can Vial in this Witch Enchanter, blow up their thing, and have lethal. Again, hitting them down from 9 to 0. Get back this Recruiter of the Guard. And that's the match. So even through a punt, should have had 3 more life there. I think I played that pretty well outside of misclicks, and able to beat Burn, which I think is an incredible matchup for me. So let's move on to match number 6. 3-2 right now. Shooting for that top 16, maybe top 32, just anything to make some money. The prizes are insane for this event. So yeah, see you in the next one. Match number 6 on the draw with a solid hand. Let's go ahead and keep it. Not incredible, but I do have the turn 1 Aether Vial, and after that it's going to be a little bit of slow going, but I do have turn 2 Tide's Hollow Sculler, into turn 3 Recruiter, go get something, maybe put it into play with the Vial. Looks like my opponent is on Boros, though, so I might need... Yikes. I might need to get some sort of removal, but for now, let's just go ahead and fetch a basic plane, save this Boggart Trawler for a possible Flage later, be a little bit upset that this Ragavan is going to hit me for probably a couple turns, but hopefully after that we can put some 1/1s into play to block it efficiently. Get a Bowmaster with this Recruiter too if need be, but let's just see what they do. They find a Recruiter of their own, yikes. Although, if they do play that, I could Flicker Wisp their Recruiter and then get it back on my side and then still tutor something up, which would be pretty sweet as a turn 3 play. So I think I'm okay if they decide to do this. And they do. Probably getting a Johnny. Or Guide of Souls, maybe. I guess we'll see. They could also get a Seasoned Pyromancer. It's good for me, I guess, that they're using their treasure here, though. And they do get a Johnny, which is a little annoying. Let's go ahead and tick up the Aether Vial. Yes, I would like to use that ability. Find a Fatal Push. Is that going to be better than just Tide Hollow Sculler here? So we're going to shock this in either way. But do I want to do that? And then I can maybe just get a Solitude? Yeah, I think let's do that. Then I can get a Solitude with the Recruiter that I flicker, that I get on this next turn. And it stops them from getting any more treasure, and I can still Vial in this Tide Hollow Sculler and hold up the Solitude. And I can pitch this Witch Enchanter to it. Opponent surveils a Guide into the graveyard and gets in for 1, and we'll see if after that they decide to just a Johnny me. Nope, Goblin Bombardment. Okay, so now I might be playing out this Recruiter instead. That's actually really annoying, because now I can't Flicker Wisp their Recruiter, because they'll just use it to kill my Flicker Wisp, which is really, really annoying. But what I can do is just... Gosh, I don't even know. I don't have a 2-drop that can do anything against that. I think let's start by Vialing in the Tide Hollow Sculler. Try and take their Ajani. And then probably just gonna have to Boggart Trawler, play my own Recruiter, and hope they don't have second Ajani. We'll see, though. So here we go, let's look. They only have one Ajani. They do have Seasoned Pyromancer, which is going to make this Goblin Bombardment really hard to deal with. But we do have to take a Johnny. They draw land, I guess they can get me by killing my Tidehollow Sculler and then casting a Johnny. I really wish this was any other untapped land so that I could Witch Enchanter this bombardment next turn and I wouldn't have to do anything crazy to get it off the board, but I guess I can just play this tapped for now and go nice and slow. Put that into the yard. I don't really want to draw it next turn. See what my opponent does. Even though this means I don't get to make any plays this turn, it does mean I get to make a ton of plays next turn. So I think it's still going to be worth it, and hopefully I'll also get to Recruiter now. Opponent plays the Ocelot Pride, and are they just going to Thraben Charm my thing now? Yeah, okay, so they can have their Ajani back. They have 2 Seasoned Pyromancers in hand, and they get in for 1. But I am going to be able to blow up the Bombardment this turn, and then Flicker Wisp the Recruiter. So let's say yes to this, draw for turn. Swamp is pretty solid, lets me keep around the Boggart Trawler, as well as not take 3 damage off my land drop, which is pretty ideal. Let's get this Witch Enchanter down to blow up that. Now we'll go ahead and Flicker Wisp, blinking out the Recruiter of the Guard. Say yes, and let's just go and get... I think Solitude, because I can just hardcast that next turn. We'll just start getting value with that stuff. See what they decide to do here. Another Ocelot Pride. Sure. And there's a Johnny. They have 2 Seasoned Pyromancers in hand. So let's see what they attack with here, if anything. Nothing? Sure. Cool. So let's just go ahead and not tick up the Aether Vial, excuse me. Find another Aether Vial, which is pretty bad here. Let's just say yes to this. And go ahead and Solitude the Ajani. Yeah. Solitude Ajani now. Go to combat. And attack for 3 in the air. Pass the turn. And go get another Solitude next turn. Or maybe something else. We'll see. Trying to avoid Flage as much as possible. Well, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll go ahead and get a... Okay, they discard a Seasoned Pyromancer. That. So we don't know any of the cards in their hand. But as I was saying, I'll probably go ahead and get... Well, we'll see what they attack with, but I can get the Emperor of Bones here. And that will be pretty good. If I block here, then I go get Emperor of Bones, or I can just block with the Recruiter. Let's do that. See what they do here. Okay. I will use Aether Vial's ability, bring in this other Recruiter of the Guard, say yes. And what is the best thing to get here? I could get Bowmaster. I could also just get another Recruiter to basically just put another 1/1 into play. And then do my thing. Or I could go ahead and get Felia to go for the long-term stuff. Or I guess Flicker Wisp too. Yeah, let's get Flicker Wisp. And just use that to keep getting more good stuff into play. No, I'll keep it at 3. Find a Felia. So let's get in with Flicker Wisp and... Yeah, just the Flicker Wisp for now. They will take 3 damage. And I'll pass. Can Flicker Wisp my Recruiter, and then also play a Felia, and then I can get something back and blink it with Felia if I go get Emperor of Bones. Put a lot more power into play. Unfortunately, I can't get a Boggart Trawler to stop Flage from ever coming down. But I am going to have Flicker Wisps and removal spells galore to try and keep it off the battlefield. Let's see what my opponent can find here. They find a Windswept Heath. Gosh, please don't Surveil Flage into the yard. I feel like this happens every time. Oh, not even trying. Okay, cool. Wonderful. Maybe they're... No, they should still have an Elegant Parlor left if they're running the same list that I've been up against, basically, since the beginning of time. Second main, I'd like to flash in a Flicker Wisp. Target my Recruiter of the Guard. Bring it back. I think now I will just go ahead and get... I get Bowmasters, or I could get Emperor of Bones. Let's just get Bowmasters. Play Bowmasters. Kill one of these cats. Start to close out this game as quickly as possible. Untap. Place this on the stack. Let's say no, because I think 3-drops are still going to be the most important, and my opponent scoops it up. So, pretty solid start, winning game 1 yet again against Boros. Hopefully this time we can win one of the post-board games at least. Let's board in the Graveyard Hate again, and I don't think anything else is going to be super great. Honestly, I'm graveyarding the Aven Interrupter every time I see it. So maybe let's not do that, and then let's also get rid of a Flicker Wisp, just bad against Bombardment. Although it was pretty good there. Flicker Wisp is kind of great in this deck. Maybe I shouldn't be boarding that out. It's probably Tide Hollow Sculler is what I should have boarded out instead of the Flicker Wisp. Card's pretty slow, and usually it's not great on the board. But this hand is pretty great. Let's go ahead and keep it. It's not very fast, but then again, deck never is. I'm going to restart real quick to get that off the screen. Watching Squid Game, but you guys can't see that. So opponent leads off with an Ocelot Pride. I'm probably just going to end up solituding this on my main phase, because if they play more Prides, I don't want those to trigger off of the Solitude life gain. And then I can get this Solitude back with an Overlord, and I think I'm also going to... Oops, should have played my land. Play, or pitch the other Solitude with this first Solitude, just so if they play like a Bombardment, I have an answer to that with the Skyclave. Let's go ahead and play out what I plan to do, and next turn I can go for the Overlord, get that ticking down, which is honestly relevant a lot of the time. They play a second Pride, and maybe even a third one. Goodness, no, just surveilling in the main phase. So, put another Flooded Strand into the yard. We can just fetch now, get a Shadowy Backstreet. Surveil, ooh, yes. Yes, please, to Bowmasters is what I'd like to say. So, let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully I don't get Blood Mooned here. But I feel like they might board that out. It's pretty bad in most scenarios, except for the one right here, right now. And yeah, Bowmastering and Ocelot Pride's feeling pretty good right now. Guess I could have waited to do this at instant speed, but I think it's okay. Maybe I get some value out of a Seasoned Pyromancer or something like that. But yeah, this seems Like a solid play. Again, just hoping not to get Blood Mooned here. Everything else I think I'm pretty alright with. So, opponent plays out an Arid Mesa, hopefully not fetching Plains Blood Moon here. No, they're going for a Surveil, so that's pretty good for me. Does mean they might play out a 2-drop this turn, and they get a Flage into the yard. So, I guess my plan here is to try and just get that out of here with an Emperor of Bones, and it looks like it worked. Wonderful. So let's get that out of the way. Don't think I'm going to attack in case they have Felia, and play an Arid Mesa and pass. They don't even have a Felia, so okay, wonderful. I have an instant speed Lightning Helix under this Emperor of Bones, getting to the point where I can hardcast this Overlord pretty soon, and also go and try and get back a Solitude with the Emperor, and my opponent just scoops it up. So this is what I feel to be a pretty good matchup, and I did unfortunately lose to it earlier. Of course, Boros is an incredible deck, so that can always happen. And they drew really, really well in that match, but able to win it this time, putting me up to 4-2. Bit of a slow start, but we're clawing back, and we're going to take this as far as it can go. Match number 7, 4-2 right now on the draw, but I do have a pretty sweet hand to start off with. So let's go ahead and click the old keep button. Not a lot of damage in my lands. Have a nice turn 1 Aether Vial. Also have the Felia Overlord combo and a Fatal Push to help with the interaction. But let's see what we're up against, because that always matters a lot in terms of what I am going to do in this mostly reactive deck. I guess against the combo decks you are a little bit more proactive, but still doing a fair bit of interacting in every matchup. It looks like it might be energy deck again. Well, at this point, fairly certain it is the energy deck again. What do I want to do here? Do I want to get this Aether Vial going? I think I have to, even though it does give them an opportunity to do a lot here. Let's go ahead and get started with that. Oh, yeah. And pass the turn. Hope they don't have a really, really good follow-up to turn 1 Guide of Souls. And they don't have anything pre-combat. And they don't have a good follow-up, or at least not an incredible follow-up, so let's tick up the Aether Vial. They might have Felia here, could be a Mardu list, and they might have Bowmasters, but for now, let's just tick up, draw a card, go ahead and run out this Marsh Flats, and just pass the turnover. Planning on running out of Felia, or maybe a Fatal Push if I absolutely need to. See what they play here, though. It's a Surveil land. I'm feeling pretty good. And it is, and they are on the Mardu version of the list. So, probably running a fair amount of Fatal Push. They just get in, and if they have a removal spell for this Felia, they're going to want to do it anyway, and I really want to get a removal spell out of their hand, and I'm happy to trade a Felia with one, just because I have another one in hand, and I can run out 2 next turn, as well as hold up a Fatal Push. So let's just go for the super high value possible play of trying to block this Guide of Souls. Because if I do that, I'm probably just able to win the game. Unable to, so I do take 1 damage. And we'll see if they do anything else post-combat, or what else they do post-combat. Looks like, as of now, nothing. So let's put this trigger on the stack, and start taking advantage of the amount of pressure I can apply. I think just going to play out this Witchbless Meadow. I will bolt it in so that I can go double 2-drop, as well as hold up this Fatal Push. I can play this Felia for my 2 white mana, use the black on the Fatal Push, and then play either a Bowmasters or an Emperor of Bones, depending on which feels better here. Probably going to be the Bowmasters, but we'll see what they play, I suppose. So they're just going to combat. If they attack, I think I'm just going to Bowmasters here to try and get some value and trade it with this Guide of Souls. So let's do that. Maybe I also get a removal spell or two out of the way so I can get this Felia down and start going nuts with that. 1 damage happens. Let's see if they have a way to clear the way, or I think I'm just going to block with one of them, and that way it entices them to use a removal spell to keep their Guide of Souls alive, in which case I'm more likely to get this Felia down and unanswered. But they allow the trade, so that's fine with me too. They play a Blood Crypt, tapped or untapped. And what is going to be their play here? Fatal Push on Bowmasters, sure thing. And do they have anything else here? The Fable, okay. So, this is pretty good for me now. I get to play out this Felia, then push the token. I could also wait and blink out the token with this Felia, but I think it is going to be better to get this Overlord online. Not going to tick up because I know I'm going to be able to play a 2-drop here. And I kind of just want to get back Bowmasters with the Overlord so that I can start pressure their card draw with that. So let's just go ahead and do this. Just put this in now. I guess I probably should have waited to respond to the trigger, but I was definitely going to do this at essentially sorcery speed anyway. Then I'll just go ahead, blink out my Overlord, get it back into play at the end of turn, and say yes to using the ability and get back, I think, just a Solitude. Start stocking my hand full of removal. They can choose to draw and discard some cards, but they choose not to, which makes sense because I do have this Bowmaster out, and I have a lot of pressure on them. See if there's anything they can do about it, but I'm feeling pretty ahead this game. And this is one of the reasons that I decided to play this deck today, is just the Mardu and Boros decks are so vastly popular in the metagame right now, and I feel like I have a pretty good matchup into them with this. They do have a Bowmasters, so that's going to be able to kill mine as well as get them some energy. But I think I'm still doing pretty good here. I'm going to be able to... So I do want to tick up the Aether Vials, but I think I want to get the Emperor of Bones into play first, so that I can make sure I can activate it and get back a Solitude this turn. And then I will tick it up so that next turn I'm up to 3, and they're just going to concede the game, which makes sense. Let's go to game number 2, up against Mardu Energy this time. I think my boarding is going to be pretty much the same. Sanctifier gets even better because they're not running as many white removal spells. And other than that, those are pretty much the only cards I want. I guess White Orchid Phantom could be a little better here too. But overall, I think my worst cards are still the Aven Interrupter and the Tide Hollow Sculler. So let's board those out for a couple better options and just resubmit. Pretty nice hand here, just all my good 2-drops. And a way to kind of stop Flage from ever happening. Hopefully, they put a Blood Crypt into the yard. I find a Flicker Wisp, which is fine, not incredible, but fine. And I will just go ahead and pass the turn with this Marsh Flats. Played. Don't think I'm going to have to fetch a swamp. Would prefer not to. I would like to get a Surveil Land, but maybe I should have saved it. But I don't really want to shock in a Godless Shrine if I don't know I'm going to use it. And my opponent does just end up passing here, so I think it's pretty safe to go ahead and get a Surveil Land. Get a little bit of value. Do I want an Ephemerate here? I think so. I think Ephemerate, just as a protection spell, is going to be pretty nice at some point in this game. Definitely going to shock next turn as well, so we might as well just do it now. Maybe can find another land and keep this Igonjo for some value. But it's likely they could have Ophelia here, so I think I'm just going to pass the turn with Fatal Push available. Nope, they just go for a Shadowy Backstreet. That's fine as well. And honestly, if they play a Fable, that'd be real good for me here, as I could just flicker it out with my Felia that I flash in response, but they're just passing, so I think I'm pretty okay to trade some of my stuff with removal, but I guess Bowmasters is just the best way to do that, and if they wait on the removal, I can maybe get some more value with the Ephemerate. So let's go ahead and do that. They Bowmaster my Bowmaster in response to the Bowmaster, which makes sense. I guess maybe against that, I shouldn't have played the Bowmaster yet. Yeah, honestly. Could have been a bit of a mistake. But I find an Overlord, which is overwhelmingly good here. But I think I am going to wait a turn on it, although I guess I could just Overlord now and get back a Bowmasters. I could also just play it nice and slow and go for a Sanctifier, but I don't think that's going to be great. Could also just play Felia out this turn, but they probably have some sort of removal. But if they kill my Felia, that's okay. Can always get it back with the Overlord the turn after. So let's just pass holding up mana for now. Start going for big value plays as the game progresses. Wishing I ran out the Felia last turn now over the Bowmasters, just because of how much value they got with their Bowmasters, and always want to be the second person to play it. But that's okay. We'll see if they have the third Surveil land. I think it's probably unlikely, but definitely possible. And we'll pass the turn. Opponent does have the third Surveil land, so they're getting pretty close to being able to Flage. They do keep a card on top, though. We'll see what it ends up being. Looks like they're going to get in with just the 1/1. I think I'm going to Felia here. And if they go to try and get Bowmaster's value, I'm just going to either use a Fatal Push or an Ephemerate, probably the Ephemerate to stop it from happening. And I will also go for Ephemerate just to essentially counter a Galvanic Discharge. We'll see if they have more removal. But even if they do, that's fine. Just go for Overlord to get it back, hold up a Fatal Push, keep playing nice and slow. Now I can definitely just trade these Orc armies too. So I'll definitely go for that. Just clear the board off a little more. They pass it back to me after missing a land drop. And yeah, I'll just play Overlord. Get back Felia. Maybe it was better to get back Bowmasters, but this is good too. I think it's hard for that play to be bad. Opponent now has 4 mana. See what they do with it. Possible Showdown of the Scalds. That's what it is. Sure. They find Double Flage, Wrath of the Skies, which cannot believe they're boarding in Wrath of the Skies against me, and a Galvanic Discharge. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I think I will just Flicker Wisp my Overlord here. They can kill it, but even if they do, that's using their entire turn and their entire Showdown of the Scalds, and it already drew me essentially 2 cards. So let's just get back Solitude, just to have some more things that I can do with my limited amount of mana, because I kind of have a lot of that and not a ton of... I mean, I have a lot of spells I want to cast and not a ton of mana, so this will allow me to empty my hand a little bit quicker. So they play land number 5. They can Flage plus Discharge this Overlord, but honestly don't think that's very good. It might be if they can play out a creature beforehand and get a couple counters on something. Deciding right now which spell I would want to pitch if I do go for a Solitude this turn. And I think it's between... I mean, really hard for me to know between any of these 3, honestly. There's Flage. We'll see what they're going after here. I think it should probably be Felia, just because it does get me a lot of value, but it doesn't necessarily find whatever I may need. And do they have a removal spell for this Overlord, too? They do. So They were only able to play one of their 4 spells with Showdown, and I don't even have to use anything here. I guess we'll just get the Emperor of Bones into play now to take their Flage out of the yard, because they're not going to have enough mana to go Flage and cast Flage and flash it back, or escape it next turn. So I don't need to get the Sanctifier out, and having an Emperor of Bones in play also lets me get some more value from my graveyard before this Sanctifier maybe has to get rid of it all. I'm also okay to trade for some removal. Just get them down to fewer and fewer resources while I take over the game with my value creatures. Let's see what they have here, because they do have some good stuff for the late game. I think I have more, but possibly have like their own overlords or something like that. They fetch a tap land and do nothing, so not too worried about that. Find a plains, which is an excellent draw. So let's just go ahead and exile my own overlord with this Emperor of Bones. See if they have anything to say about it. They do not, and then I'll just attack. Get in for 2 damage. No effects for them there either. And yeah, now I'm just going to take over the game with these overlords, this Felia, this Emperor of Bones, just really outgrind them. So they're able to Wrath of the Skies here. And suppose I'll just get this Overlord in play now, as otherwise I'm basically losing out on it. So let's draw a card, essentially. Say yes, of course. Get back Flicker Wisp here, I think. You can kill all my stuff, that's fine. And I'll keep going here. I think let's just go get land number 5 with this Recruiter of the Guard. Can always blink it out to get other useful stuff. So let's get, where is it? One of my Witch Enchanters. Play it out. I will pay the life for it. And then let's just pass it over to them. They have 3 cards in hand. I have 5. Every single one of them is at least a 2-for-1. So, feeling pretty good. And one of their cards is a land. So let's just get this Felia going now. Start blinking stuff out. Untap. Find a White Orchid Phantom. That is a funny one to blink. I can start blowing up all their lands. I'm pretty sure they're out of basics. So let's just check, real quick, basic check on them. Blow up a Shadowy Backstreet. They tap for 1. And do not find a basic. So cool. Let's do some more of that, I guess. Blink that out. Heal them 3. Blow up that one. I guess I should be trying to take them off a color. It's probably red, or maybe black. I only have to do one more to take them off black, so let's just do that now. And pass the turn. And win the match. So got to destroy all the lands of a Mardu energy player, as well as just kind of destroy them in both games we played. So yeah, that is my 3rd win, I believe, against energy players. Up to 5-2. I do have 1 loss to them, which is unusual, but you'll see the record kind of corrected itself in terms of how good this matchup is. So let's move on and see how far we can take this deck today. Match number 8 on the draw here with 5 lands, but I do have Solitude Ephemerate, and I can get a couple Surveils in the first 2 turns, so I think I'm going to keep, as Solitude Ephemerate is one of this deck's better game plans, and having a lot of lands isn't always the end. So let's go to our first turn up against a Flooded Strand, and I find an Orcish Bowmasters, which is going to be a pretty nice one. Just going to play out this Arid Mesa, because I'm almost certainly fetching a tap land, unless my opponent somehow plays out 3 creatures this turn. But let's see what they actually do. It's a Meticulous Archive, so this looks like some sort of control deck. Probably, I don't know what other blue-white stuff is out there. Double blue fetch land means that's even more likely now. So let's go ahead and start getting some value with a Surveil land. Find a Skyclave Apparition. Now, do I want Skyclave? I think I can do better. I feel like they're not really going to be running out a ton of stuff. So, best to just look for some more value plays and work with the interaction that I currently have. They're fetching. See what they get here. Another Meticulous Archive, sure. And they put it on top again. So they like what they're drawing. And I don't know what I'm drawing. Do I want... Yeah, I think I'll just get another Surveil land here. See what's on top. Recruiter of the Guard is excellent. Don't think I'm going to play it out yet. Maybe I'll start playing out creatures when I know I can ephemerate them. Like I could play out this Recruiter next turn. Could play out this Bowmaster's End Step, or maybe in response to some sort of card draw spell. They get a Hedge Maze. Likely not playing green, and they're just doing this to have more options. Okay, so they're on Narset. That is one thing to note. I think let's just go for the Bowmasters now. They can't double counterspell, so if they do have to use a counterspell on this, then I can hopefully land a Recruiter of the Guard. And they're just going to Subtlety it, which is fine. And I think I will put it on top for now. Now let's just go ahead and fetch probably Swamp. Go ahead and try to play this Recruiter out. They have another Subtlety, which is fine. I will again just put this on top. I would like to have it again next turn, and I'm not really under a ton of pressure, so I don't have to Solitude Ephemerate or anything like that now. Just see what my opponent does. They attack me for 3, and just pass the turn. So, that's alright, I suppose. I will go ahead and play this Witch Blessed Meadow, and I think just go for another Recruiter. And this one resolves. Awesome. Let's use the ability, definitely. And what do I want to get? I could get Flicker Wisp, I could get Felia, I could get Tide Hollow Sculler, I could get not Tide Hollow Sculler 2, White Orchid Phantom for this Gaia Reach Sanitarium. I think I'm just going to go for Felia, though, and pass the turn. I have a couple options for what I want to do on my next one. See if they, like, loot or anything here. Maybe Brain Surge. No, they hard cast Solitude. Okay. What a weird play. So I could ephemerate this, or I could just Solitude Ephemerate and kill both of their things and have my own Solitude. But I kind of want to keep this thing around. I also kind of need to answer what they've got going on. I think I'm just going to do my own Solitude Ephemerate here. Let them get a little bit of value. I get a little more. Pass the turn. Although maybe this isn't good into sweepers. I just want to have a way to get more and more value. As the game goes on, my opponent casts a Memory Deluge to get their own value, which is pretty annoying here. Yeah. I don't know, it's rough because I feel like I do need to answer their stuff, but maybe I shouldn't put all of my resources into that. So they find 2 cards. They've already played a land this turn. Solitude might be a kind of tricky one for them to answer if they're running Wrath of the Skies and Prismatic Ending and not a ton of other good ways to kill it. There's a Tune the Narrative, which is going to help pump up those Wrath of the Skies. And I'm not going to Ephemerate. Just draw for the turn. Get in for 3. And I think just pass the turn as well. Not in a great spot, all things considered, but that isn't incredible. Let's just go ahead and flash in a Bowmasters in response. See what they do. Target them with it. Now, I could play Felia in response too, but if I do, they can just Wrath of the Skies me, so I think it's best to just let that thing roll. See what else they play here. Looks like it is going to be the Wrath of the Skies. And they're just going to destroy my Bowmasters and my Orc Army token. Which is fine. Are they going to bounce my Solitude? Or maybe... Yes, they are. Okay. That's fine too. It is a bit annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm really looking to find Overlords here. That's the ideal draw. Gonna save 1 land in my hand in case they ever activate this Gyre Reach Sanitarium. But let's just see what we can find here. Find an Arid Mesa. Not a great draw with no other Surveil lands left in the deck, so I'll just play out Felia and pass the turn. Not a ton going on here. And it looks like my opponent has a lot. So, a little bit scary. See what they do. I will still just fetch to thin my deck out as much as possible. See if my opponent does anything in response. They don't have land number 7 for Flashback Memory Deluge, but I doubt that's their biggest concern here. If they don't have land number 7, that means they have a bunch of spells in hand, and all of those spells are going to be pretty good against me. So, I'll draw for turn. Kinda wishing I played this game a little bit differently. Just tried to get as much value as I could, I think is probably the play, instead of putting a lot of pressure on. But of course, I don't have a ton of experience in this matchup. Definitely not over yet. I really just need to find one of those overlords. Aether Vial is... Your opponent can cast spells. That does get around to Fury a little bit, although it is a little late to the party here. So let's play it out and start to play as fast as I possibly can to maybe give myself a good chance of winning on time if that ever comes up. And it looks like opponent is just wrathing my skies here yet again. So I will lose out on my Aether Vial, although I guess they're only doing it on the Aether Vial, so maybe they have a removal spell or something like that here for the Felia. I don't know why they wouldn't just get a full amount of value, but they did decide not to, so that's fine with me. Go ahead and play out this Solitude and pass the turn. No targets on this one. One more removal spell is pretty much game over. here, though, unless... I mean, I guess I still always have the opportunity to find that Overlord out of nowhere to really get myself back into this. Is it here? Another Solitude. So I'll just play that one out. See what my opponent does. 5-mana 3/2. One of the bigger creatures in my deck, but not incredible. I would have preferred my other 5-drop. A plus to Fury. And Solitude my Solitude. Sure. I'll draw for turn. Overlord. Come on, Overlord. Come on, Overlord. Fatal Push. Alright, pass it back. Those will definitely be coming out. I find an Overlord. Ephemerate, okay. That's the turn. So still nothing going on here for me. Can't really do anything in the face of this Teferi. They're just going to keep plussing it, keep getting in, get some more Surveil lands. Or I guess now they're going to Memory Deluge, so I'm pretty much dead and out of it at this point. Witch Enchanter doesn't really do anything. Let's just F6 and we'll let them kill me in as much time as it possibly takes. Try and get them as low as possible on their clock and keep as much of mine as I can. Don't think I can win here, so I'm going to just play the long game. It's to them. There's a Hall of the Storm Giants to help them kill me a little bit quicker. I'll draw. Find a Marsh Flats. Go ahead and run out this Witch Enchanter. And pass the turn. They play another Solitude. And I assume they're just going to kill me with this Hall this turn. That's quite all right. We'll go on to game 2. Hopefully play a little bit better and grindier. And yeah, I think had I just ephemerated on that, whatchamacallem, I'd be in a much better spot. But we'll let my opponent kill me, and I'll go to game 2. Still feeling pretty confident in this matchup. I do grind pretty well. Think I want. The Aven Interrupters seem pretty solid. The Thought Seizes seem pretty good too. White Orchid Phantom doesn't seem great. I think Emperor of Bones is a little slow. White Orchid Phantom's not great. Although maybe I want one just to get rid of their random stuff. Let's board out the Fatal Pushes and probably out 1 or 2 Solitudes. I mean, they have some creatures that I need to answer, but not a ton. So maybe we'll board in the Emperor of Bones. It can be pretty good to reset with after a Wrath. Let's go like this, which I think feels pretty good. Still have a lot of interaction against them. Down to 2 Solitudes. These Ephemerates get a little bit worse, but I think they're still going to be good enough. All right, game number 2 on the play. Waste as little time as possible getting into this one. 1 lander isn't going to cut it, even though a lot of the cards are pretty good here. 2 lander will. And what do I want to put back here? Probably just Recruiter, and then I can just make sure I can go Thoughtseize into land into Solitude on turn 3. Or Thoughtseize into Overlord into Solitude on turn 3. So let's lead off with the... Oh, I guess maybe it's better to... Yeah, let's go for the turn 2 Thoughtseize, I think. And keep an Aven Interrupter on top. Should have definitely waited until their end step to do this, but I don't think it's going to affect my decision that much. Oh, what am I doing? I have a 2-drop here. Absolutely awful play coming out here from me, but that's okay. Maybe saving this Thoughtseize is going to be for the best in the end. Let's go fetch a Plains and play out this Overlord. They want to Solitude it, that's okay. Next turn I can go Thoughtseize into, or not Solitude it, Subtlety it. That's okay. So let's get the planes. Go ahead with the Overlord. Definitely the best card in this matchup. And I'm okay if they want to Subtlety this. It is a nice little 2-for-1 for me. I can kind of make sure I resolve it by Thoughtseizing into it next turn, and then hopefully going nuts with the Flicker Wisp. Again, a bit of a misplay not to Thoughtseize turn 1, but it could work out. Let's just take the second Aven Interrupter and hopefully start deploying those at some point. Make it a little harder for my opponent to do anything at all. It is a little bit annoying that they know I have one now, but I think that's still better now than the Fairy Macabre, which honestly might not even be good enough in the long run. Maybe that's not something I should board in, as it's kind of a dead card unless they play a Memory Deluge. Holding up 1 mana means I think it's just time to go for it. They could have Stern Scolding, or Consign, or Subtlety. Stern Scolding is the only really bad one for me. They could also Tune the Narrative. That one I'm more okay with. Okay, and I'm getting to flicker out my Overlord to draw yet another card here. Honestly looking for some more lands. A Witch Enchanter would be nice. Then I can start Thoughtseizing and just stopping them from doing anything, get these Aven Interrupters down. Make it hard for them to resolve anything at all. So, I will say yes, and I will get back the Emperor of Bones. Just a little more late-game value. Eventually I'll find the lands I need. Happy to mill over 2 Ephemerates, as I don't think those are the best card in this matchup either. See if they just go ahead and Teferi me here. I'm going for Wrath of the Skies, which is going to be a 3-mana sorcery speedway to kill 1 Flicker Wisp. And then they're going to Solitude my Overlord. Sure. Putting in a lot of work here. But I'm outvaluing them for sure. As what did they pitch? They pitched a Prismatic Ending. So let's just go ahead and Thoughtseize them. My Narset, Days Undoing, Spell Snare. So let's go ahead and take Narset, then just pass the turn. And either get a Surveil land or go for the Aven Interrupter. Kind of just want to break up that little combo they have there, though. And I think Narset is the better card, so I'm going to take that one there. But I'll happily take a Days Undoing at some point. They just run it out. So I'll fetch, I think just Godless Shrine is fine. Just make sure my mana is nice and good here. Then go ahead and interrupt this evenly. Start getting the pressure on here. Find an Aether Vial. Which do I want to Thoughtseize now? Or do I want to wait on it? I should probably just Thoughtseize now. Find Spell Snare and Supreme Verdict. The Spell Snare is going to trade with my Emperor of Bones. So I think let's just take Supreme Verdict and play it slow here. Go ahead and get this second Aven Interrupter down. And then eventually, hopefully, they'll have to pay 4 for the Days Undoing. And I can just play around it. But we'll see what they draw, of course. Like to get this Aether Vial in play too before they Days Undoing. Alright, let's interrupt it again. They found Counterspell, which is pretty annoying here. But their turn will end and we'll both restart at 7. And I find some pretty good ones. So I think let's just go ahead and impend this Overlord. Say yes, get back a Solitude. Go and get in for 2 here. Godless Shrine is gone. But I can play Felia out this turn, and I'm pretty okay if it dies to a counterspell. I can also Ephemerate Aven Interrupter. Opponent looks like they're playing a Teferi here. And I guess I'll Ephemerate this now. Try and get that one gone for a turn. That is really, really annoying. All the flash threats that I have. I maybe should have just played out this Overlord. So then they would have just been able to bounce it. Hoping they don't have Solitude or anything. Okay. They have a counterspell for that. But now I'm just going to get to play Felia. And then let that Teferi come down. We'll see what they do with it. They just tick it up. Sure. What do I find? Aven Interrupter. And not much else. So let's get in it Teferi. Blink out my own Overlord. And can't kill this Teferi now, which is really annoying. So I guess I'm just playing out Marsh Flats. And their one Supreme Verdict is their one of their Supreme Verdicts is still in the deck. So let's just wait on deploying anything here. Get back. Guess a White Orchid Phantom, although that's not great. And yeah, kind of force them to have a Wrath here. They're gonna plus the Teferi. Play out a land, just playing everything super duper slow. Let's go fetch for a Surveil land. Find a Thoughtseize, that's a pretty good one. Sorcery speed, too. So let's lead with that. Thoughtseize my opponent. Fetch in response, sure. Get a Surveil land in response. Guess just getting all the information they can before they decide what to do about this Thoughtseize. And they play a Wrath. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Leave them with Stern Scolding and 2 lands. They put a card on top. So let's go land. And I think start with a Witch Enchanter. Then play a White Orchid Phantom. They don't Stern Scolding it, wow. So let's blow up the Hedge Maze and see if they search for a basic, which would mess up their Surveil. They do. So drawing a random here is my opponent. And plussing the Fury, playing out the Flooded Strand, passing it back. See what we can find here. Find an Ephemerate, which is not bad. Let's try and kill this Teferi. Opponent has a subtlety, which is going to come in and block one of my creatures. Block the white Orchid Phantom. And then I will play Sorcery Speed Felia. Get it sternly scolded. That's fine, though, because now I have Sorcery Speed Solitude to take out this subtlety, lose out on a little bit of value, but overall still ahead on board. So just really trying to clear this to Fury. Hopefully my opponent doesn't find a subtlety, or a solitude, I mean, to clear out my board, and they are completely out of Surveil lands, which is also good. Means they won't be getting any more value out of their fetches, but it does look like they found something to cast here. See what it is. Looks like a Solitude. Nope, it's Memory Deluge, which is somehow even worse for me. They can find one Solitude, pretty much over. If they can find Supreme Verdict, that's real good. But let's just get in. And I think I'm just getting in one at Teferi and just pressuring their life total a little bit. And it works. Okay. Pass the turn. And they pass it back to me as well. So, don't think I need to do anything now. So let's just untap, draw. Find a Flicker Wisp, also not bad. Now I will probably flash in the Bowmasters just to start getting value out of this Flicker Wisp. But just get in for 5 here, and then I guess they're going to end step Memory Deluge. I'm going to be able to interrupt it, or that I will also gladly interrupt. They have a Subtlety. Sure. I will put it on the top of my deck, please. And Solitude comes in. See what they target here. Target the Witch Enchanter. So that's fine. I can double Bowmaster that, or just Ephemerate. And I really don't know which one is better. I think double Bowmaster just to try and kill them as quickly as possible. So let's go for that. Ephemerate the Bowmaster. 2 more to their Solitude. Get in for 3 damage. Hope to avoid a Wrath, and pass the turn. Is either a Wrath or a Memory Deluge. It is the Memory Deluge, so they'll get to find 2 more cards. But I am coming in with the Aven Interrupter next turn. So rebound on my Orcish Bowmaster. Come back, hit them for 1. Then I'll go ahead and hit them for 6. And second main, Flicker Wisp our Bowmaster. Bad stuff here for me would be Wrath plus Teferi. And other than that, I don't know if there's anything that gets me. I guess Wrath plus Counterspell would be pretty good too. There's Teferi. So if I don't interrupt this, either way they can Wrath of the Skies, which blows up all my stuff. And that, they can't draw with it anyway. So I guess we just save it to play as another creature to threaten lethal if they do have the Wrath of the Skies, because this doesn't really do anything to change that otherwise. There's a Misty, which they cannot crack. Looks like we're getting Wrath of the Skies here. This is pretty annoying stuff. Get 3 energy, and then they pay 5. Let's find a Bowmaster. Draw. Recruiter of the Guard is a Bowmaster. So let's fetch that up. They have to have... Well, I don't think there's anything they can have at this point. So we'll get Bowmaster and shoot them for 1, killing them. Awesome. Wonderful. On to game number 3. 7 minutes left, but hopefully I can get there with that given time. And is there anything I want to change? I think White Orchid Phantoms could be an alright card to board in. But let's just see if there's anything I really don't want. Because they're definitely better than some things, but not great overall. I think let's just keep it at 1 for the problem lands. And yeah, I will keep this hand with a turn 1 Aether Vial and hope that my opponent doesn't prismatic ending it. But let's just go for it now. Play turn 1 Aether Vial. See if they have the answer. Opponent fetches a Meticulous Archive, and let's see what they do with it. Put a Subtlety into the yard. Okay. They play a Hall of the Storm Giants, and no pending, so Aether Vial lives another day. Yes, use the ability. And gonna play out the Witch-Blessed Meadow, and I think just go for an Overlord, as it's gonna be pretty nice to flash in a Bowmaster with the Aether Vial, so I don't want to just use it with the 2 mana that I wouldn't need to spend on it next turn, because I don't have anything else to Aether Vial in right now. Opponent is just playing Teferi. We'll see what they do with it. They bounce my Aether Vial, sure. So I'll play Bowman. Kill Teferi. Play this nice and slow, just replay my Aether Vial and pass the turn. Opponent plays a Meticulous Archive. Keeping it on top, so maybe a Wrath, something else of the sort. We'll see if they Wrath this turn to get rid of this Aether Vial. No, they just play another Teferi. Let's see what they do with it. Maybe just an uptick. They're going to Solitude away the Orc, and then I guess bounce the army, which is not great for me, but also not awful. So let's go ahead and put the counter on that. Draw a card. There's another Orc. So I could do that, but I think it's going to be a little bit better to just Flicker Wisp my Overlord. Hope they don't have anything, but even if they do, it's all right. So let's flicker that out. Play a tap land. That surveils. I don't think I need second Ephemerate, though it is pretty good against removal. Say yes to the dress. Get a Recruiter of the Guard. All 4 of my Overlords have been found, which is very good in this matchup. Although I don't really want them in my graveyard. It might be good if I do get a Emperor of Bones later on. See if my opponent has more ways to stop me from killing this Teferi. I find Ophelia. And just going to go ahead and get in first. Like opponent has some sort of response. Wrath of the Skies, X equals 3 to take out my Flicker Wisp and my Aether Vial. Should have activated in response. My bad. But I am still going to be able to attack Teferi. And let's just get Aven Interrupter here. And go ahead and play out this land and just pass with all my flash threats available, as well as the Aven Interrupter. Opponent plays a Narset. Let's just interrupt that. They counterspell, sure. So they'll get to resolve their Narset. I guess we'll just see what they find with it. But I don't think I'm going to let them Days Undoing here. So let's just go for Big Bowman now. Get some pressure on, make sure we kill this Narset next turn, and attack them with the Overlord and Narset with the 2/1/1s. So get in just like this. Say yes to the ability. Let's get back an Aven Interrupter. Deal them some damage. And go for this. And pass. Holding up Ephemerate, Aven Interrupter, and Felia. Still with 2 value creatures in my hand. We know they have a Teferi. That one is definitely going to get interrupted. As well as this Narset, if I have the chance to. So let's do that. We know they have Teferi plus 1 unknown. That one gets exiled to be plotted for next turn. Oh, they are mistapping for their Teferi. I am going to Ephemerate the Aven Interrupter. And that wins us the match. So 4 minutes left on the clock, winning against blue-white control, pretty much just grinding them out when I did draw my Overlords. Think I might have misplayed a little bit game 1 due to not having played this matchup very much, because I think I probably could have ground them out that game too, but instead I went for a faster route and stopping them from having any creatures in play, which I don't think ended up mattering too much. But yeah, got there in the end against what I also think is a pretty good matchup. Again, mostly scared of unfair decks with this one. But yeah, 6-2, so started off slow, but slugging along. And yeah, just gonna keep going. Match number 9 on the draw, with a pretty slow hand that I am gonna keep. I have turn 2 White Orchid Phantom into turn 3 Flicker Wisp It. Hopefully we're up against a matchup where that does well. If not, I have turn 2 Tide Hollow Sculler. So a lot of my 1-ofs in this hand, 1-ofs and 2-ofs really. So it is a little bit situational whether or not this is going to be good, but we'll see what our opponent is on. And up against that deck, I am pretty happy to have a White Orchid Phantom on turn 2. I don't think I've played this matchup yet, and it seems like it can go a couple ways, and it really depends on if they have counterspells or not for me, but that pretty good start, them not having a second land, and me getting to blow up their first one. And they don't run any basics, or at least they shouldn't, main deck. They do have a Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend, but hopefully I can deal with that in some way. See if they play another land here. If so, I'm just going to go ahead and destroy it, and if not, I guess I will Tide Hollow Sculler and Surveil. So let's just take... I think Tamashi is just kind of the only way that they're going to be able to play anything. So let's take Tamashi. Of just Lotus Bloom plus Tamashi is a way to generate a ton of mana, even if I'm stopping them from playing any lands, but kind of the best draw possible against this deck, and their draw is looking pretty darn weak too, so feeling solid about this one. They do get to cast the Lotus Bloom this turn, but we'll see if they draw a land to go along with it. I can, of course, just Witch Enchanter it away next turn. If they find nothing. And I don't know if they'd even want to just run out one of these creatures. I guess they do, because it does find them lands. But it's a pretty slow game plan. They look at the top 4 cards, see what they find. They find a Bayene Veil. Sure. And they play it out as a land. I'll go ahead and fetch for a Surveil land, look at the top card of my deck, find an Orcish Bowmasters, which... I don't think I want that one. I don't think I need to increase my clock at all, and I think I'd rather just dig deep for something like that, and that's actually a really good draw here, because it's going to allow me to kill the Thundertrap Trainer so that they can't flare my Flicker Wisp, and then I can go ahead and destroy their other land. So let's go ahead and do that. Exile one of these Witch Enchanters, which I don't really need. Go ahead and exile the Thundertrap Trainer, and then go for a Witch Enchanter, or not a Witch Enchanter, excuse me. I am going to play the Boggart Trawler as my land this turn. 9 rounds makes a man a little bit rusty in terms of the talking, but able to win game 1 still, despite my inability to speak. So let's board in quite a lot of stuff here. I have the Stony Silences, I have Thoughtseize, I have Aven Interrupter, and I have White Orchid Phantom. That being said, I do have a lot of bad cards here as well. Examples being the Flicker Wisp is actually pretty good, but Recruiter is a little bit slow. Fatal Push definitely ain't it here. I do think I like the Aether Vial because it's going to let me sneak stuff through counterspells, but Emperor of Bones is pretty darn bad. Bowmaster's not great either. And a couple more cards to board out. I think I can go down 1, 2 Solitude. Just try and really go for my hate pieces up against them. I do want a couple because Tamashii can be a beating. I want to keep 1 Bowmaster just in case I do need to grab it. Sometimes it's useful to just eke out those last points of damage with a Recruiter of the Guard. But yeah, this matchup is probably one of the reasons to play this deck over something like Boros Energy, as you're just going to do a lot better into this deck. And here we have a lot of ways to blink this White Orchid Phantom, as well as some ways to get it back. Opponent doesn't have a Lotus Bloom just yet, so not the fastest draw for them. I'll go ahead and lead on a Marsh Flats and pass the turn. So they play out a Hydroelectric Lab and go for one of their creatures here. We'll see what they find with it. They may board in 1 basic, but I think that's about it. So we should be able to destroy enough lands here. They are going to Flare Up Denial me, which is a little bit annoying, but what I can do is get it back with the Overlord, go find another one with the Recruiter. I will keep another land here, I think. I think that'll be all right. Let's draw. Go fetch a Plains, just in case they have the Harbinger, which I know they tend to have sometimes. We'll see if they sack for the Flare. They do. So that's fine. We'll take it nice and slow here. See what they do. It's Philology Archaeologist, and they hit Disrupting Shoal, or they can take a Suppression Field or a Lotus Bloom. So I guess it's going to depend on if they want more interaction or if they want another land. And they take the land. So I find a Godless Shrine. So I'm just going to run that out and run out this Recruiter. Next turn, if they, let's say, counter this into play a Belcher, I do have the White Orchid Phantom. Into play a Belcher, I do have the ability to just Witch Enchant with a Belcher next turn and hopefully stop them from winning that way. But we'll see what they do end up having. If they have Belcher this turn, it might be a little bit hard for us to beat. But I guess we'll see what they have available. I kind of just want to get on the land destruction plan. They have Belcher plus 0 mana counterspell here. We're pretty much just cooked. But it's just a Tameshi, but they did mill over a Lotus Bloom, so that I might even just be dead now, which is very, very annoying. But what are you gonna do? Would have been nice to have a Solitude. Hopefully, if they can't kill me this turn, I can keep them off having basically any mana next turn. But it feels pretty likely all they have to do is find a Belcher here, and they pretty much just win. Get up to 7 mana. So, yeah, basically, if they have a Belcher here, they win. If they don't, then I have a turn to try and do some stuff, but they could also have counterspells, of course. So they're getting back this Lotus Bloom over and over and over again. Makes me feel like they do have the Belcher. And yeah, it looks like they're just casting it here. So we'll look through their whole deck. Oh, no, they're doing one more. One more loop. They have played a land for this turn, so they can't whir for the Belcher and activate. I think they're 1 mana short of that. But they just have it. So let's look through their entire deck, see what else they have against us. And yeah, Tamashi is a very, very good card. They had the ways to kill me. Let's see if they board in a basic. I don't see a basic. 4 sideboard cards against me. There is Harbinger. There's also Into the Floodmaw. And a couple spell snares to look out for. How many spell snares? 2 Harbinger. 2 Into the Floodmaw. 2 spell snare. And those are the really worrisome cards that aren't necessarily known about. But let's send this back for game number 3. Hopefully able to find a win now. I think I am going to board out a Bowmasters for a Solitude, just to stop them from getting the free counterspells. Does feel like this game is all about mana efficiency, as well as my ability to lock them out of the game. But yeah, really just hoping to get a nice curve of maybe Thoughtseize into White Orchid Phantom into Ephemerate would be ideal, but there's only so much you can do, and it is nice to see that I don't think they had a basic. Kind of unlucky for me as well that they milled over that Lotus Bloom, because if they hadn't had that, then I think their draw would not have been fast enough to win, but feeling pretty confident in this matchup as long as I can draw the right cards, and I do have a lot of the right cards, so try and get it done. The play for game number 3 is hopefully going to significantly help me. What isn't going to help me is a 0 land hand. Let's send it back, try and do a little better. And gosh, this one's real slow, but I think it is going to be a keep in the end. I got lands, I got spells. So let's keep it. See what my opponent did with their hand. They kept 7. So we'll keep... What do I want to put back? Could be Skyclave, could be Ephemerate, maybe. Could be a land. I think Skyclave, and then if I need to get something like that, I can go ahead and Recruiter for it. But let's start with the turn 1 Aether Vial. Start getting some mana efficiency going, or mana acceleration in this deck. Guess they're deciding if they want to force / disrupting shoal it, which I didn't know they ran a ton of 1-drops. Sorry, I'll move this over so you guys can see it. I didn't know they ran a ton of 1-drops to even shoal it with, but I guess we'll find out. So Aether Vial resolves, and we pass the turn over to them. They play tap land turn 1, so no spell snare would be a really nice time to draw the White Orchid Phantom. Also are suspending a Lotus Bloom, which is a little bit scary. Say yes to the ability, and find a Witch Enchanter. So nothing to do this turn, just going to play out the Surveil land. Next turn, go for Recruiter, and then try to vial in a White Orchid Phantom with it, most likely. And I can Ephemerate to find more good stuff. And hopefully get them off of having any mana ever. But we'll see. Find a Plains. I think that one has to go into the yard. I have enough lands as it stands now. See if they are going for 2-drop creature, all of which are pretty scary for me, especially if they have a Force of Negation or some other free counter spell for this Recruiter of the Guard. They do go for the Thunder Trap Trainer, which, well, let me take these off. If they had that last game, would not have helped them win. They find a Charbelcher with it, though, which is also a bit scary. The game kind of depends on going to level that up, resolving this Recruiter of the Guard. So can I just go for it now? Do I have to wait a turn, and that way I can safely Aether Vial it in? I really don't think I should just be going for it. I think that is not a safe option, although then they can just counter the... If I do that, they can just counter the White Orchid Phantom. So yeah, let's just go for it. I guess get a Swamp to play around Harbinger here. And do my best to resolve this. Basically just crossing my fingers and praying, though. That's the thing about this deck, is that you can have a lot of good cards against them, but you still need to draw a good number of them, and I drew a ton of lands here. Opponent is disrupting Shoaling. Disrupting Shoaling. I guess that is the right way to pronounce that. They're disrupting Shoaling me. Feels wrong. And, picking this Lotus Bloom down to 1, so I need to find something now, or I need them to not have land 3 or 4. They have at least land 3. We'll see if they bolt it in. They do. And am I getting Tamashid? Maybe another Philology or Thundertrap Trainer could make this pretty difficult. They are whirring for 0. I guess getting a Lotus Bloom. But I am going to be able to Witch Enchanter that one, which might be okay. And if they don't have another land, it might stop them from... Would have been a lot better had I not ticked this up. Wasn't really thinking about it, but I probably shouldn't have. I think I just have more 2-drops that are relevant. But yeah, let's go for the Witch Enchanter. Kind of have to. And try and blow that up, and just hope they don't have land number 4, untapped at least. Next turn, I can attempt to blow up their stuff. Unfortunately, can't get Felia in right now. They have 1 Lotus Bloom. Do they have Tamashi? We know they have the Belcher. They got it off of that, but looks like they're not going to have the mana to cast it now, which is pretty good for me. They find 2 Flares, which also pretty good here. They get 1, so now if they play the Belcher, even though I can Ephemerate this, because I ticked up the thing, I'm not going to have the chance to get through this counterspell here. Okay, what do I want to do? If I tick up, that lets me find Witch Enchanter, but if I don't, I can find Flicker Wisp or Recruiter of the Guard. So I guess I'd say no. Take my draw. And it's another Witch Enchant. uh The odds are in my favor, but don't always work out that way. So, is there anything at all I can do? Gosh, stupid Aether file. Basically, just having to guess of every play I make. I guess let's ephemerate this and maybe they don't counter it. They probably should, though. Needed the other ones. Maybe they don't. We'll see, I guess. No, they do. Okay. Keeping that land on top would have helped in hindsight, but that's really hard to guess about. Just automatically ticked up this Aether Vial, and it might cost me the game here. Because, yeah, I'm just one of everything short of stopping them from killing me here. See if they go for it. Maybe I have an Aven Interrupter. Looks like they're going for it, and I have no way to stop it. So unfortunate loss against the Belcher deck, I think is probably a pretty good matchup. Just made the wrong choice on my Aether Vial, but there's really not a lot you can do about that. I think I was still more likely to find either a Flicker Wisp or a Recruiter, so seemed like it was still the right play, but didn't quite get there. That's okay. Up down to 6 and 3, and I'll be back for the last round, round number 10. On the draw for the last match of this very long tournament, 6 and 3 right now, with a hand I think I'm gonna keep. Have some nice interaction and a turn 1 Aether Vial. Do need to find some more card advantage, but this deck does have a lot of it. So let's start off by clicking the keep button and playing against my first artifacts opponent. So let's try and keep this Witch Enchanter in hand to answer something later on. And finding a Recruiter of the Guard is pretty nice as well. So let's run out this Aether Vial and pass the turn. Opponent plays Urza's Saga. That's a pretty scary one. Into Mox Amber. And a Tormod's Crypt. So running some number of legendaries. And then they go for a Thoughtcast. So a lot of stuff happening over there. And yeah, a lot of cards drawn. It looks just like classic Affinity for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and just Masters now while I have the opportunity to kill this Memnite and slow down their draw maybe a little bit. Next turn, I can go for a Recruiter of the Guard and get probably just White Orchid Phantom to blow up this Urza Saga before it can get more value. We'll see if they make a token here, which would be pretty big, but I'm all right with that. So let's tick up the vial. Say yes. Find a swamp, so I guess I'll run that one out before I go for the Iganjo. And go tutor up a creature. So let's again say yes to that ability. And yeah, let's just go get the White Orchid Phantom and vial it in here. Don't think there's a reason to wait, really. They are going to get to make one token, but I'm not too worried about a single one. I have lots and lots of removal in this deck. Okay, there they go. I guess maybe I could have just not worried about the Saga so much and gone to get Felia, which would have allowed me to blink stuff out over and over again, which was probably going to be pretty good. Because now I don't have, like, repeatable sources of card advantage, but we'll see if I'm even going to need that. And we'll see what they get up to in the coming turns. Definitely glad to have the Witch Enchanters here. They play Aspire of Industry, and it looks like they're just passing. Not a lot to do, or at least they're attacking first. I'll take 4 here. And maybe they're playing Kappa Cannoneer. That one would be pretty scary. They're going for a portable hole, targeting maybe my Aether Vial. They are targeting the Aether Vial. That's okay, I suppose. And now they're playing the Kappa Cannoneer. Okay. That is a pretty good one, but I can, and I think I probably should, just kill it, pitch this, and I still have the Fatal Push for the Construct token. And I can start beating down now. Hopefully they don't have another Kappa Cannoneer, something along the lines of that to race me effectively. But I do think this is what I kind of have to do. Feeling like it would have been a little bit better to get that Felia. There's a Mox Opal. Don't care too much about that one. It's really going to be what is that last card, and it is just more random artifacts. They do get in for 8, which is quite a bit. I'll go down to 6 and find an Overlord, which is very, very nice. So let's go ahead and Fatal Push this. Play Shadowy Backstreet. Find a Flicker Wisp. Let's put that on top and then just go in with the Overlord now. That way I can get back Flicker Wisp now, and then Solitude next turn. Oh, can't get back the Solitude anymore because they are cracking that, but that's okay. We'll say yes to that, get back this Flicker Wisp, and get in for a bunch of damage. The turn. Kappa Cannoneer really is the only scary thing for me at this point. Portable Hold's not too bad. And take out the Bowmasters, but that's quite alright with me. I'll draw. See what I find. Arid Mesa is not incredible. Let's just blink out my Overlord. Go ahead and get in for only 4 this turn, but I will have lethal next turn. Definitely more than 11. I think 1 more than 11, so I guess not a ton more, but enough more than 11. If they don't draw anything relevant here, we'll say yes again to this. Let's get back the Felia, because I can flash that one in. And pass the turn. Opponent plays Tameo, but that's not going to be good enough. Not even close here. Go ahead and fetch the Shadowy Backstreet. Just practice getting as much value as possible. I'll keep a Fatal Push, I suppose. Why not? They're pretty dead either way, but they were already dead on board. So if they want to draw it out, I will get maximum effectiveness out of my cards and win game number 1. Go into game number 2 with quite a lot of sideboard cards. Honestly, I have Kataki too. Haven't had a chance to play Kataki yet, and that's a super fun card to play. Probably want these White Orchid Phantoms too. What's bad? Emperor of Bones I don't think is great. Fatal Push is okay. Maybe I want to go down one of those. Just go for mass removal instead, although I do think Solitude Ephemerate will still be solid. And then board out a couple Bowmasters and maybe a Tidehollow Sculler. Alright, let's board out the Aven Interrupter over the Tidehollow Sculler. And maybe one more Bowmasters for one more White Orchid Phantom just to answer Urza's Sagas. Oh, need to board out one more card. It's okay, let's board out a White Orchid Phantom. Ship this. Hopefully find Kataki and just get to do that. There he is. So, excellent hand here. 2 lands, have Solitude Ephemerate to answer early game stuff, and I have a Kataki to hopefully just lock them out. And my opponent starts off with not much of anything. So I think I am going to shock in the Godless Shrine here, because I'm not super worried about dying fast, and I would like to get a good amount of Fatal Push value. Let's do that. Opponent plays Emry, which can't be Fatal Pushed. They mill 4 cards. Do I want to just Solitude that? I think so. I guess I should have waited till my next turn, but probably was just going to Solitude that anyway. There is a Overlord of the Baelmerk. But do I just want to go ahead and run out this Kataki here? I think so. Let's pressure their mana a little bit. See if they want to pay one to keep this Darksteel Citadel around. No surprise there, they do. And do they have an answer to the Kataki? They do indeed. But it is one that I can probably also find an answer to. So let's just start playing this slow now. Try to grind my opponent out and eventually get this Kataki back. Wrath of the Skies, also quite a nice one, and will be at some point. But let's see what we can hit off of this Overlord. Hopefully a land. If not, I'm happy enough to get back this Solitude. But I do think Witch Enchanter is going to be a little bit better. So let's get that, play it tapped, no reason to pay 3 life, not holding up anything, and just pass the turn. They do have counter spells, so that does make this Wrath of the Skies a little bit worse. But if they're holding them up, that makes them a little less likely to be able to slam a Kappa Cannoneer here, which is really the thing I'm most scared of. There's a Thoughtcast, so 2 mana, draw 2. Solid card. There's an Urza's Saga. And are they just holding up the counterspell here? Looks like it. So maybe not the best time for me to go for the Wrath of the Skies. But I think... Next turn they can go for Kappa Cannoneer, but it's just going to be so good whenever I do get to play it, if I ever do get to resolve it. And I think they also should probably counter this Recruiter of the Guard. So let's just bait out the counterspell here, keep my Wrath of the Skies in hand, and pass it back. Opponent ticks up their Urza's Saga to 2. See if they slam a Kappa Cannoneer. Still the scariest thing for me. But might be able to beat it if I can get a nice Wrath of the Skies going. They main phase make a token, then play a Thoughtcast, and do they have another land to hold up anything? They do not right now. So I guess I'm going for this on 1. I will pay 1. Get back Kataki and really reset my opponent down to basically nothing. Gonna be a hard one to lose at this point. And I just blew up 3 permanents with 1 card and got my Kataki back. Not just 3 permanents, but mana sources and other effective things. Now, when they target that, I can just ephemerate it and keep this Kataki around. Does he have first strike? He does not. Just a 2/1. Pretty weak card outside of his ability, but his ability is very good. Okay, find another Overlord here, excuse me. So let's try and mill maybe a Felia. Do find it, so let's get this Felia back. Go ahead and get in for 2, and just plan on flashing in the Felia, start getting even more value with these Overlords. Just grind them out. Do you want to pay mana to keep around your land? They do, unsurprisingly. Let's see what they have to play here. There's a Tamiyo, sure. So I'll just flash in this Felia, pass the turn. Or go to my turn. Sometimes it feels like I'm the one passing the turn back when I'm running a deck like this that plays at instant speed so often. Let's just kill Tamiyo. Blink out my Overlord. Then I'm going to have 2 at this end step because the other one has been impending for so long. Going to have lethal on this next turn. Let's just see what we hit. See what we can get back. I guess I'll just get Solitude now. Want to have answers to everything. Opponent decides to pay yet again, but I don't think they really have a way out of this. I have 15 power in play. They're at 10 life with 2 permanents. So, nice, solid match win here for me in match number 10. Hopefully that's enough to get me top 32 and make me my money back. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe I'll record a little update to let you guys know how it went. But yeah, that's it for today. That's all I got. A lot of stuff happened. Looking to start streaming soon, so keep an eye out for Moopa 7 on Twitch. Um, and if you like the videos, as always, please comment, please like, please subscribe. Every comment I see really makes my day. Um, just anything about my videos, even if it's negative, even if you have something bad to say about me, it still makes me happy just to know that people are watching the videos and have strong enough feelings to get their little fingers out and type. So, thank you so much for watching if you were able to make it through this very long video, and see you soon.